So we have a direct video feed to the Ghislaine trial, right?
I'm working on that. Right now, there's only a direct video feed to my stylish hair, which you can't see because I'm using a really good camera, and I'm trying to figure out a way to distribute it everywhere else. But anyway, here, let me make this. Oh shit, I did not make this stream live yet. Let me do that right now because it is unlisted at the present, which sucks. Hold on, how do you make this thing live? I may just make another new one in case I screwed it up right now. Hold on. What are we even doing here? Anyway, guys, listen. This is the unpredicted stream that we are having because unfortunately Mike Cernovich is not feeling well, so we are rescheduling that particular thing. But let me do something over here. Yes, so let's make it listed finally, public. Here we go. Save. Okay. So anyway, we are going to be opening up the Twitter Spaces only to people that we trust because this is being streamed on YouTube right now, and I don't want anything bad to happen. So for all the people who are in this space, we have a lot of listeners over here. I'm going to get some people in who I know, and I don't know that many people who are here right now yet, but I hope to know you later on. So, Gio, we're going to be talking about Ghislaine. Yes, well, I see the Cat Girl Milk and Yogurt Company, which is a great organization. Glink, I'm sure that when you make a lot of money, you're going to be an investor in the Cat Girl Milk and Yogurt Company. You're going to get a lot of milk and yogurt delivered completely for free. What do you think of that?
That sounds like a good business model, as long as you market it towards. I feel like that's more of a thing you'd market towards Zoomers, maybe like the mommy milker type people, you know.
Well, I think we're going to have a lot more.
The femboys.
Yeah, well, is it going to be the cat boys? Is it going to be the cat boys, or is it going to be the boys like Gio over here, you know, who wants to live in that kind of world where he's just provided for by a, wakes up every morning and there's just like a big pair of breasts right in front of him, and it's very beautiful. It's very quaint.
Oh God.
But there's silicone. That's the catch.
Well, there's no big money in the cat boy industry. Cat boy milk, it's not very profitable.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, sooner or later, we're all going to be
you have to herd the
for our
cat
milk.
girls. That's the problem. It's the herding of the cat girls.
It's like herding cats.
The cat girls herd a lot easier than cat boys, though. You know, cat boys are a little more wild, harder to keep control of.
Yes, exactly. I saw this movie a couple of days ago, which was similar to Brokeback Mountain in the theme, although even by saying it, I'm kind of spoiling what it is. I don't know if you guys saw this movie. It's called The Power of the Dog. Are you familiar with The Power of the Dog, by any chance?
No.
Nobody here. Okay, then I'm going to skip it because I don't want to spoil the movie for those who did not watch it. But it's a similar kind of thing where there's like this cowboy, this rancher, and he talks about this inspiration that he had of this Wild West guy who was his mentor. But he was a mentor, we end up finding out, in a very Greek fashion, if you catch my drift here.
Do they eat pudding in this one as well?
No, unfortunately there is no pudding. But when it comes to this idea that people have of the Greeks back in the day, how accurate is that? Like, Gio, you've studied history. How accurate is the whole, Greek, man-boy thing? Gio.
I wanted to bring something up about the Greeks. I wonder if you know about this, Lev. Do you know about Soma?
Yes, Soma is supposedly this elixir that they drank during religious ceremonies, similar to what the Hindus did with their ceremonies. But I'm not exactly sure if that's fully right.
Well, the thing is that's interesting about it is that it was this ritual that they would do to like enlighten certain people who are privy to the knowledge of the spiritual world, I guess. And they would use it to commune with their ancestors. But here's the thing. Nobody knows, in all these historical records of this thing called Soma, nobody knows what the actual substance is. Nobody knows how they made it. Nobody knows what they got it from. There's a lot of theories, but nobody knows for sure.
And what were some of the intended effects when people got that Soma into them? What did they start to experience?
It was like this religious experience. It became like seers of the underworld, something like that. But it was only you couldn't just go out and do this. You had to like be in a certain group and a certain status to be able to use Soma. I don't know that much about it. I just know that it's kind of like one of these world mysteries that was at some point.
Oh, by the way,
really knows what it was.
Your phone is screwing up a little bit. It's a little. I don't know if it's connected to the right thing or not because it's going in and out. I don't know if the Wi-Fi is right there as well, but I do agree that there's a lot of mystery drinks out there, mystery formulas that people used back in the mystery schools to gain a certain level of otherworldly consciousness. Rudolf Steiner talks about a similar thing with the Hindus, how they used to do breathing techniques, not for the process of going into the spirit world, but for the process of being able to lose sight of any of the spiritualness around them, which seems counterintuitive. They basically wanted to, according to Steiner, create a dead world out there, which would be the world that we're living in today. So when you will go around, even though you see squirrels and things like that, it's still relative to how he was describing the Hindu yogis saw the world. It's a dead world. It's not a world where you can actually see the spirits in front of you. And according to him, the reason why they wanted to do that was to get more of their, get more self-consciousness, get more of a consciousness of them being a specific, individual person as opposed to just having this group collective. And I see some comments over here. Datuta says the Iranians called it Hauma.
There you go. I moved from my computer chair because sometimes the internet there is not great, but I'm making coffee right now.
Excellent.
What I was going to say, though, is do we all agree that the world is run by a cabal of pedophiles?
Let's see. For the sake of the YouTube algorithm, I would say maybe, who knows, but...
Topic of debate.
Yes. I don't know. I would say that there are people out there who definitely get bored and end up misusing their power, but it is also very different, the kind of accusations that are within, despite the temple and everything, the kind of accusations that are within the realm of this current Ghislaine Maxwell trial, and some of the more, way more heinous things having to do with, Moloch-related things. Even though you could say that, hey, they have a temple there, that temple, you automatically associate that with Moloch, and I always say Moloch, mo problems. So there may be something to it, but as far as what has happened, we haven't really seen that being displayed by Epstein or Maxwell or any of those cats.
Did you see the... Well, I'm kind of just joking. It's not necessarily that bad, but probably. But did you see the thing with Steve Jobs' former wife, Lauren? I think that's her name. And she was like hanging out with Ghislaine, and she owns the Atlantic. One of them owned the Atlantic, and then there was an article like, "Oh, there is not a pedophile problem" or something. Is the headline of it?
Interesting. I think that people are always trying to protect their self-interest, and they're going to rally around each other when they know that, if you go, I go. So that's partly, I think, a problem. There's always going to be a certain amount of blackmail in the world, a certain amount of compromise. But in the grand scheme of things, I think we all know that intel agencies, regardless of whether we're talking about America or any other countries, they are going to be the most dastardly bastards possible. But what I try to keep in mind is, are they only doing evil, or are they still, let's say, persecuting certain actual terrorist cells? Because either we're in the frame of mind that all terrorist cells, all of that is the CIA, and that's it. There's no other terrorist cells in the world. There's nobody else who would ever even get the idea of doing any terroristic activity besides the intel agencies. That's one way of looking at the world. I don't know.
Oh, go on.
No, that's pretty much it.
The idea that only the CIA is involved in all these things. It's like, I feel like there's competing intelligence organizations, like FBI, NSA, CIA, as well as like CSIS, other countries. Like they're all kind of competing for the same money and control.
I disagree. I think a lot of them are working together because there's more to be gained by having a co-opportunity of just, basically sharing a bunch of information so that they can have more. It's like, why would you not want to join with the other intelligence agencies when together they can basically be more powerful than any one of these governments could be on their own.
Well, I certainly think like they obviously work together in some respect, but I still think there's got to be like some amount of competition there in like jurisdiction. At least like with agencies within the U.S.
Maybe. I was going to say, not completely the same topic, but as to why there does seem to be such a correlation between pedophilia and like people in power and people with a lot of wealth. I think it's because there's something to the fact that they just have access to all this, all these like sexual things they could ever want, but the most taboo, the most sort of forbidden, right, is things with kids. And maybe there's also something involving like they're trying to maintain their own innocence in a way by taking the innocence away from a kid. And I don't know, it's very fucked up, but the psychology behind it is interesting, I think.
Well, I think also like I feel like, you know, a lot of times getting into these bigger inner circles, you know, like when you become a big player, is like I think with people who don't want to conform, they try to like. There's been some instances where they like try to set people up, or like, you know, somebody like passes out at a party and they set them up with a child because like once you're, you know, also a part of the crime, then you know, you see, you know, like Ghislaine Maxwell, like that whole thing, you know, that's never going to result in people getting arrested because too many people have to fall for her to really face serious charges.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, that's why it's all about. They all tried to make it about Epstein, like, oh, the documentary about Epstein. This guy was so shady, but honestly, he was just the fall guy. It seems like to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Epstein thing is just like it's the same thing as like the Dutroux case in Belgium, right? Like in the 90s. I mean, there's a few more examples of these, but basically, there was a guy like Epstein. In Belgium in the 90s that, you know, had all sorts of ties to political people worldwide. And he was running like a sex trafficking thing and had like just more money than he should from the non-jobs he had. And so everybody kind of knew what was going on. But in the end, like they lost a bunch of the files and nobody who was like supposed to be associated with him ever faced charges.
And there was a similar thing, I believe, that happened in Washington, D.C. I don't remember the exact name of it, but there were...
The Finders.
Yeah, I think that was it, the Finders, yeah. Well,
yeah, and the FBI, like, I think it was 2019 that the FBI just dropped all the documents for the Finders, which in there actually was a map of the tunnels. For some reason, like in the middle, there was a map of the tunnels from under the McMartin preschool case. Which, if you know anything about that, like that's a big thing that people cite about satanic panic in the 90s.
I think the satanic panic was actually, like, I don't know if justified is the right word, but it's just like it kind of was proven right. I feel like if you look at it,
it totally was. If you go look into the Finders case, which is like, there's a guy Ted Gunderson who has done a lot of speeches. He was like a former FBI guy, and a lot of stuff that he talks about was sort of just like confirmed with the McMartin documents that were in the Finders cult documents that got dropped by the FBI. I think it was 2019, like January or something. Mr. Medicare did a good stream where he like covered over all the documents.
Interesting. Well, maybe we're going to have the Keepers coming in the future, and that's going to be way crazier than the Finders, you know, because the Keepers, you know, they're going to keep them for a very long time and never let them go, but with the Finders, maybe they let them go in the end. I don't know. I'm just making bullshit up right now. That's probably not the case. I just imagine that we may have been seeing a lot of very evil stuff, but in certain respects, maybe the evil's going to rise up. Maybe, I don't know, how bad do you think things can get? Like, what would be a level of evil that you don't even think is possible that we may see in our lifetime?
I have an idea. So I have this theory. I was actually going to tell you this last time. I don't know if I did, but so, okay, the microchip, right? If and when that gets introduced, which I think with the Neuralink and stuff, that idea is already being normalized. I mean, with our phones, it's already being normalized. But when that comes, at some point, let's say you have that installed in your brain or something, and you're in the metaverse or whatever, and you could just close your eyes and be in the virtual VR chat with Catboys or whatever the fuck, right? At some point, I think when you die, or maybe it has to be activated, I don't know how it would happen, but I think there's a possibility to where your consciousness could be stuck in that virtual database, that virtual world. And that's basically what hell is, as described by the Bible or whatever, this place of eternal suffering that you can't get out of because you're stuck in the false light, the false reality, your consciousness stuck in a false reality, versus where we live now, where it's like maybe there's a life after death. I think there is in this reality.
It's very much like what David Icke says, like why they need child sacrifices, because it's like an ethereal sort of life force for them. I mean, maybe we're making too much of it, but really there's something metaphysical going on at that level of just total planetary control.
But here's how we can offset the metaphysical darkness by metaphysically doing something very good, which I believe is sharing the tweet that I just did right now. I just made a tweet about this particular session that we are doing. So for those who are not aware, I am live streaming this on YouTube. I am live streaming this on DLive, on Odyssey, on Twitch, if you can believe that. And at the same time, this is one of those Twitter Spaces as well. So this is two things happening at once. We will see, like, the people who we trust who are here. We will bring them in to discuss all this stuff with us. I want to see if I can get Kriston T. Harris to come in as well, who's a friend of mine who was both in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. He was one of the witnesses, and now he's covering Ghislaine Maxwell over in New York. So I'm sending him a link to this Twitter Spaces to see if he can come in. But either way, I just want to bring this up to more people here. I see we have Mason. Now, I don't think I've ever spoken to Mason before, but Mason, if you're interested in speaking as well, let us know. And once again, don't forget to subscribe.
Nathan Duffy is also in here.
Oh, hey.
So Nathan wants to speak.
What's up, Duffy? Good to see you again. So yeah, all the people that we know and we trust that are not going to do anything bad to this stream, those people I welcome. So once again, patreon.com/breaktherules, become a patron. You know you want to, and we're just going to take it from here. So getting back to this conversation, I want to get Gio's thoughts.
Level,
yes. What is your nuclear level
take that will, like, it's kind of schizo, actually.
No, it's okay.
So you
Go
know
for
this
it.
Josh Duggar thing going on, right?
Wait, is that reality TV show? No, the Duggars. Do you remember they had that reality TV show?
Yeah, the Mormons, right?
Yeah.
They have like 19 kids.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing: he's like a total scumbag, right? Like he's done it. Like there's like beyond reasonable doubt. So I'm not doubting the case itself, right? He did it. He deserves to, be Minecrafted. I have to be mindful because like Twitter, they record the text to speech, right?
Yes.
So
well,
Jesus.
Not just Twitter.
Yeah,
YouTube as well, and all of these programs.
Yeah,
so
no gamer words.
No gamer words, and use Creole to describe what we refer to here as the Backstreet Boys World Tour that was sweeping this world since 2020.
Oh, okay. See, okay.
That's from Game Grumps. No, also use the sacrament. That's another term.
Yeah, sacrament.
So Josh Duggar, he's like obviously a cheese pizzaist. He's a disgusting pervert that
Oh yeah, Gio, boost your audio.
Okay, I'm trying to. It's hard, right? So, is this good actually? Because it's like right up against my mouth. So.
No, it's very quiet.
Really?
Yeah.
What are you listening on?
No, your audio is good, Glink. Gio's audio is not that good. And what I would say here is, ideally what I would get everybody to do for the future, install an Android emulator and use that on your PC. That I would, if you use a PC. I don't know. That's probably for the Mac too. That's what I'm doing right now. How do you think this thing's live?
I have an iPhone, bro. I have an iPhone. Would it work with iPhone?
I don't know. For the iPhone, I would just plug something in. But my point is that there are ways of going around various technological hurdles. So for me, the way is actually doing a stream like this by putting in an emulator and by having the OBS software record all the audio from the desktop, which includes the emulator desktop audio.
Yeah.
So that is why we're live.
Like,
yeah.
Well, like my take is that so in this case with the Duggar guy, right? Like, obviously he's guilty. I'm not doubting the validity of it, but the media response, it's almost as if they're taking like a left-wing narrative where they're distracting from the Maxwell trial with it, because it's all the signifiers. It's the, creationist Mormon right-wing Americana Protestant, like, Jesus camp stuff that is like a terrible abuser. And so they're really pumping the attention towards that, and they're, in my opinion, distracting from the obvious implication of a upper class, mostly liberal, very science-based couple that were giving money to people like Steven Pinker, and also of a particular ethnic background, which I won't get into, obviously. But,
Jesus Christ, Gio. I think there's something uncontrollable.
What they want.
No, but why? See, this is what I understand. Like, why even say that particular thing? It has no bearing on anything else.
Because it was part of him, Epstein's program to breed a superior phenotype.
Yeah, but that's because he's that's because he's a crazy asshole. What I don't no, hold on.
Dramatically opposed to like the Christian evangelical right wing abuse that the Duggar family embodied of like the TLC, creationist Mormon, 19 kids and counting type of stuff. Like, this is what the media wants to focus on. They don't really want to focus on the Maxwell trial for obvious reasons. That's fine. You have these two images that are dialectically opposed to each other.
Gio, but hold on a second. That is fine. But when you're doing that, you're basically saying you're again pointing to a specific group and somehow saying that this specific group, there was something about this specific group that would lend itself to something that some crazy assholes did. And I don't really see the point of that.
Well, no doubt Epstein, and in court documents, it came out that he believed that his people were superior.
Yes, of course, he could believe that, but just because you have some
part of his
Gio, just because you have some nut out there that believes that his group is superior. I mean, look, you also have the black, the Hebrew Israelites who believe that they're the superior ones, and you have other groups out there that believe that they're superior. When you're saying that, and you're basically again. And I'm not just saying this as if you're just a random person who's just one day he says this. This is like a common thing that ends up happening. And I'm going to be frank, like as somebody who is from this group, I don't like to be meshed in with people like Epstein. No, of course,
but I'm just saying that one is in terms of just the optics of it, like that is, you know what I mean? Like that is the opposing image. That's not to say that everyone of that particular group believes that. I'm just saying that this is what Epstein himself claimed in multiple documents that it's coming out. And so that this is why they want to, I mean, obviously, and of course, like a lot of these media heads, they probably were involved with him as well. That's why they want to use it's just convenient that they rushed the Duggar trial up during the same time that the Maxwell case, much in the same way that the Rittenhouse case was ostensibly a way for them to also distract from Maxwell. But that had a negative outcome for them because, of course, everyone knew in their hearts that Kyle was going to take the W. But that's, you know what I mean? This is what they're playing with.
I think Ghislaine might take the W, too.
Oh, probably. Or the ultimate L, which is she'll get Epstein herself, but who knows, right? I mean...
Well, they're taking her from one cabin to another right now, from what I understand. And they are trying to avoid any any of the problems that occurred with her friend. So who knows how exactly that's going to turn out.
Do you think she set up her own dead man switch?
Probably.
I think that's why they had to get Epstein.
Well, you mentioned the Gunderson trial. Like that's very interesting. Yeah. Like how the media created the storm and the made-for-TV movies and the whole like suspicion of doubt around the McMartin trial that Ted Gunderson was integral to. But if you read the Franklin cover-up, I mean, it's pretty substantiated. There was even documentaries from the late 90s and the early late 90s talking about the specific boy rings around Houston and elsewhere, and how people like Ted Gunderson were told in the administration not to touch this. There were people during the Epstein trial when he was actually convicted and he had this bullshit, like, house arrest thing, where he got to go to work in his office and get lunch during the day, and Ghislaine would, visit him. This is like the same thing. They were told, people in Florida were told not to investigate this. So I just think it's like very much a smoke and mirrors thing, because now when you have the heads of media that are also being implicated, and the heads of science and the heads of Silicon Valley, I mean, this is like, people don't realize the gravity of it, because it's become like a irony left like meme of like, oh, the whole like Epstein trial thing, it's all true, but it's like, what are we gonna do about it, man? Like, it seems that the memes around it, like Epstein didn't, Anhero himself, that is a way of disarming the whole gravity of the situation.
That's a good point. Actually, something I was just thinking about regarding all this is that I feel like these trials in general, anything and any one that is like this media sensation, maybe this is too conspiratorial, but what I'm trying to say is that I feel like anything that's put in front of you, including an Epstein, including Ghislaine, is like, it's meant to either distract or confuse people in some way. Maybe they have a little bit of truth, like, yes, obviously there's, these people did these bad things, blah, 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 and that getting out into the public is good in a way, I guess. But I think ultimately these things also do create a lot of conspiracies and a lot of confusion, because there's a lot of gray area. So some people end up sounding really crazy. Some people, and then a lot of people just tune out, right? Like, after enough noise on a certain topic, you just tune out. That's just how it is. And it's really a war of information. But beyond that, it's like a spiritual war. It's like, what is the fate of, well, maybe I'm getting too big picture, but I think the ultimate question is like, well, what is the fate of humanity? Where are we going? What do we value?
But even like those pictures of Ghislaine on the plane with Epstein and their very stylish European clothing, to me it seems that aesthetically, it's almost like this weird contrarianism that's going in Twitter, where it's like, oh man, look at the drip, bro. But it's like, it's
normalized. It's getting normalized, isn't it?
Exactly,
I think that's the goal.
Oh, we have a super chat, by the way, from King Salmonfish. $5 US. Serious question. How exactly do the mechanics of this dead man switch work? Who do you give the info to that isn't involved? Why haven't we seen much?
There's various ways to do it, but I think like there's a lot of validity given. Like, for example, people said that John McAfee had one, but that hasn't yet to come into fruition. But I think these things, they're probably more banal than what the sort of narrativization of it is. It's probably like something more banal than an Alex Jones, documentary Endgame. There's probably people that know behind the scenes that there's info out there. It's just that they're not going to make a whole drama out of it. The drama of the sort of world picture that the media creates, that's even more of a simulation than anything. Whereas the real stuff behind the scenes that goes on, that isn't as fictionalized. It's very much like, this is the problem with like, the global managerialism, is that events don't have a drama attached. It's just like a sequence. It's just, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. I mean, maybe if there is some dramatic dead man switch and all of a sudden all the world leaders are going to get arrested at once, like, that's going to happen. I don't know. Like, that's, again, the conspiratoid thinking is also another integral part of the narrative itself.
Well, there is also a black pillingness I've noticed, where people see a lot of these things in the world and they think that this is a force that's so big, and it's almost like they expect there to be some grand climax where all the problems are solved, and anything smaller than that isn't going to be as satisfactory, because I think a lot of people are used to just getting a lot of stimulation, being very quickly enthralled in some grand narrative that they feel like they're a part of because it's very romantic. But I think that what may actually happen is, if people on the smaller level start making certain changes, even changes to their own lives, I don't know, there is a weird belief that, I'm not saying that this is real, but work with me here. What if we are all on our separate time zones? where certain decisions that we make end up affecting the kind of world we end up living in, as opposed to the other people. So Glink, there may be a Glink out there that is a self-aware Glink that makes a certain decision that ends up moving him to a different timeline than the Glink that lives in Lev's timeline. I don't know if this makes any sense. It's a lot of hippie crap as far as I'm concerned, but I don't know. Glink, what do you think?
Well, that makes sense in a very literal way, in the sense that your decisions, your thoughts. Wait, can you hear me or am I lagging?
Oh yeah, I hear you. I hear you good. I hear you good.
All right. So that makes sense in a very literal way in the course of your life, where if you believe you have some agency, if you believe what you're saying, in other words, your life will turn out to be a reflection of that. If you really believe it and you really embody it. So in the sense, like, I don't even see a distinction that much between the metaphysical or like the philosophical idea of everyone controlling their own reality and the literal experience of doing that. I mean, obviously you don't control everything that happens, but all you can do is control yourself, your thoughts, and impact the people around you, or whatever, connect with the people around you. So if that's all you can do anyways, and everything is just perception anyways, then that's all you have to focus on. So, I mean, I'm an advocate of viewing things that way. That's kind of how I view things.
I think that's a great point, Glink. I think there's two. I'm seeing that Carlsbad is a listener. That's pretty based. I'm thinking of, like, there's two thought-terminating views of power that are very popular. One is sort of like the systems theory, postmodernism, but also, ironically enough, shared by people like Moldbug, which is, there is no leaders, it's all systems, it's all this, seamless process of discourses that have manifested and evolved, and therefore there is no head of power. There is no, Bappy and 500 names. But the other side of it, so that's thought terminating, because that's like, you can't do anything about it because you're dealing with monumental forces. The other side is like, the conspiratoid Alex Jones, David Icke, like the reptilians are at the head, and like there's nothing you can do about it because they're all like in coordination. I think like the picture of power is much more nuanced than both of them, because both of them at their logical conclusions will make zero sense at the end of the day. Like, as much as I love to be like postmodernist and all that, I do think that there are people like in charge. There are people who are guiding narratives. It's just that they're maybe not as much control as they'd like to think they have.
And how often do they try to do
difference.
Something and fail? How often do a lot of these conspiracies get attempted?
They fail all the time.
There we go. And I think that's a white pill. No matter
another white pill.
Go on.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Another white pill that I always view it like related to what we were just talking about is, despite how evil and depraved and like all these horrible things that you might think or believe people in power are doing, and they may well be doing, that's just you're capable of the same thing, and that's, you dislike that, but that's also within you. That's within all of us, that potential for evil. So be careful about how some people, I think, that I know will be like very cynical about anyone in power and very cynical of all these things. But it's like, if you're feeding into that, if you're hateful yourself, you're just embodying the very thing that you hate. You can't change things. You can't change these systems by feeding into them. You have to, I guess, be your own light in a spiritual sense.
But that being said, I think that when people talk about conspiracies, it's like, well, people will tell on you. It's like things are more like nuanced than saying like, there's a group of people that are doing some evil plot. It's like conspiracy doesn't happen that way. It's rather like, for instance, to hide things in plain sight, to have like the sort of quiet weapons for, how does it go, like silent weapons for quiet wars? Like, it's, for example, like the Ghislaine thing. People are already having their hot takes of like, it was only like, it's hemophilia, it's not the cheese pizza, it's, it was only underage girls, barely legal, like it's just like porno, right? Like that, like to me, I think it's like that's more of a attempt to understand the way that conspiracies work, rather than saying it's a covert cabal that are doing things behind the scenes. It's rather when you have the ability to manipulate the perception by which you can gauge what is facts or what is moral or what is ethical. that is more of a deeper level of it than saying, the New World Order is, doing this nefarious plot at Bilderberg. Like, that's, to me, that's like too baby brain. That's too Hollywood,
But also, I think it's a baby-brained assumption to think, and this is just my own personal opinion, to think that the only way that you could actually solve this thing, and again, for all the regular BTR people, you know what I'm going to say, that, you put a big leader in there who's going to control everything and do it the right way, like some Mussolini character, and that is something that I think people get very naive about, because they assume that they're only going to get rid of all the people that they don't like and leave them alone, and leave their family alone, and everything's just going to be really pretty. I really doubt that, especially when we're living in a very technologically advanced age. So I always try to find what is the right path here to make sure that people's dignity and people's liberty is preserved, while at the same time being able to punish the people who do end up abusing the system. So I don't know, Glink, any thoughts on that?
Well, in terms of liberty, I think it's pretty obvious that we're heading towards a world where individual liberty is being snuffed out in favor of collective safety, or the illusion of collective safety. And what's allowing all this to happen is basically just the tech companies, which is just a mechanism to centralize power and surveillance and all these things. So that's definitely one possible route we're going down. But I also think we're at a crossroads. I'm not that black-pilled, because I feel like people now are questioning things more than ever. People are less certain of the future than ever. And people are more, I don't know, I think like this TikTok stuff, I don't even use TikTok, but I know that there's like all these crazy witches and like Zoomer hexes and like insane, completely like schizo posting on TikTok, and it's these younger kids. And, you might see that and be like, wow, this generation's really fucked, right? And they kind of are, but also that gives potential of like, well, maybe we need more open-mindedness. We need more self-awareness, self-reflection. We need to question everything, I think, honestly. And I think we're at this point where we're in the age of information, and with that comes a lot of confusion, but also with that comes a lot of revelations, a lot of transparency. And who knows, I think we could at least for a time period, I think these things are always cycles, but we could for a time period have some sort of this, Web 3.0 digital nomad, roving bands of hackers in the wastelands, that could be
but that's cool. But that's the thing, though. That was the dream of like the 1990s Silicon Valley Mosaic Society, that we would live in this cyberpunk utopia where people would live in the sort of free frontier of the internet, and it was sort of like this tech anarcho cyberpunk thing. But now they've realized really quickly that, in actuality, the internet had to have been colonized in order to actually have any sort of clamping down on information as a resource. Because now we live in like the most colonized internet in human history, like ever. Right?
Well, I do have a counter. I do have a slight counter to that, Gio. So when we're talking about the people who ended up going to a lot of these various interesting forums and discovering things, I don't think the curiosity that's inside of the people who did that vanished. What I think is that the gate has been lowered down so that all the rabble end up going online and creating, just look at how ugly a lot of these, like these VR avatars are, how utterly soulless and faceless they are. That's why hire me to do your virtual reality stuff, and I'm going to create really good characters, #invest in Lev. But anyway, there's just a lot of this puerility. There's just a lot of this very, like humans are flat, things like that. I think it all comes from the masses going on the internet and turning the internet into something which, even though it may be like more refined technically, is spiritually very ugly. But the
fact that Ghislaine was a Reddit moderator, had like some of the biggest Reddit accounts and pages of all time, I mean, that should really tell you something right there. I mean, I know we beef on Redditors, but I think there really is some kind of power to that sort of like the fact that like one of the most notorious procurers of abuse victims in human history is like a Reddit moderator du jour. But we have new speakers. We have Moz. We have King Solomon.
I don't know who. Wait. Okay. Number one, I know who King Salmonfish is. I'm not sure who Maz is. I know, Geo, you let them in. Like I said before, we have to let in the people that we know. I personally don't know who these people are, so I just make sure that everything is good, that you're going to be on your best behavior. I know, King Salmon Fish, you are a little bit out there with your China theories, but either way, welcome to both of you. But from here on in, Geo, only the people that we know.
Hey, I just want to point out that I'm actually not a neo-Nazi.
Good.
Yes, we're all liberal here. We're all liberal.
I don't mean that legitimately. I'm just me.
Oh,
that might be hard for people.
I didn't know. I don't even know who you are, but the fact that you started out by saying I'm not a Nazi is not a good sign.
That sounds like a quality guy, really.
Well, no, I joined the Discord and I posted a bunch of memes that are actually like a critique of both the left and right wing. But people project their own opinions. That was kind of the.
Oh yeah, they were pretty good. Actually.
They do. Don't even listen. Don't even buy. But like by saying I'm not this, you're in a way giving those opinions power. Don't even like play their game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's kind of like reverse psychology, and I kind of want to talk about the liberty thing. Is I don't think that open-mindedness. I disagree with this point greatly. I think the stimulation of open-mindedness of this generation of going down so many different paths, it's almost breaking us all apart. It's hurting us. I think there needs to be core values like our ancestors had not even so long ago that's really turning us all into little groups and little cliques and all these little things that doesn't really make anything strong. Like, the U.S. is fracturing upon party lines and even some regionalist lines. It's insane. And if we think we can stand a chance against our foreign adversaries or even make allies out of them, we need to present that we are not separate. We are all the same Americans, and we care about each other more than we care about.
But none of that is true.
Yeah, but here's the thing, man. Take a step back and look at it in terms of just geospatial facts. Like, anything, or are we literally in the same place, surrounded by the same people? And what we are experiencing is a mental phenomena and a phenomena of the heart.
For sure.
I like that actually. I think you said that.
Sure.
Well.
That's basically what I'm trying to say actually. Is that Gen Z is being confused, I think, by the previous generation into what to think. I think there are a lot of bad parents out there that are teaching bullshit, pardon my French, bullshit ideas that a boy can be a girl and a girl can be a boy. There's no set values. It's all just let people live. No, you can't. There are some fundamental ideas that create American society.
Well, I think Gen Alpha might put a bit of a different spin on that. I don't know if anybody here spends a lot of time. Like Generation Alpha pretty much starts 2013, so they're pretty young. But like I have kids, and I don't know, a lot of the like sort of, and maybe it's the area I live in, but like a lot of the sort of like.
Do you call your kids kittens?
Do I call them kittens?
Oh, for God's
yeah.
Oh God! No.
Oh my God!
But like,
see, this is the dream. A person with an anime avatar can have a wife and children. It's not a realm of
Wait, so what is it about Generation Alpha that you're noticing that's standing out?
Like a lot of the sort of like Zoomer bullshit or like modern bullshit with genders and like people are not of can be born not in the gender, and people are like, oh, like my kid totally believes this. Like most of the kids that I talk to, like friends of my kids, are just like totally disregard any of that and like just don't get it, and just boys want to do boy stuff. And I think really the only difference of like girls wanting to do boy stuff is like a lot of girls like play Fortnite at that age. But
There's no
but
problem with
otherwise, like, most of the girls, like, you know, when they play Fortnite, they like the really girly skins, and they're like, no, I don't want to be a boy.
Right.
I
Why
want
would I
to
do that?
make a point about what both of you are saying. So, Maz, you're saying that it's important that we uphold these American values and see each other as fellow citizens, basically, right?
Yeah, we can't divide each other based off race or religion or really even man versus women. It's important to view that we're all equals, that we're all striving towards the same goal, as in keeping up this republic.
I couldn't
Well,
agree
I
more.
don't
I don't
know.
think. Okay, so that's the thing, though. That goal is no longer. Maybe for a time that was sufficient to keep people
But no
together in
longer,
harmony.
yeah.
But it's definitely not anymore. We have to rethink what the future. The future is not going to look anything like the last century. You know, we have to rethink how things are going forward, and that's where open-mindedness is useful because. You know, to just disregard it all as like, okay, well, this is bullshit. All these genders, all this shit stuff that's like nonsensical to our worldview, or to your worldview, whoever's worldview. You're not going to reach anyone that way because they're going to be like, you're a boomer, and they're kind of right because that's just not the wave. I mean, I don't think it. Here's the way I'll say it. It's like I think people are confused. Gen Z is very confused because they're buying into this language game, which is the real problem. It's like they have to define.
It's manipulation.
It is, absolutely.
And us
Control
millennials
through language.
psyoped them into it. Let's face it.
Exactly.
They did. But they don't have to. It doesn't have. It's just the language. It's like, why do you need 500
Hold up.
different gender
No,
expressions?
I blame Terrence McKenna.
Terrence McKenna.
What do you mean?
Oh,
wait,
man.
you
That
blame
could be
Terrence?
like no. This isn't a out there take. Terrence McKenna. Now he had a lot of like beliefs that were basically like when he was like becoming popular again in like the 2010s in Facebook groups and New Age groups. Like he had a lot of stuff that basically would be considered like Reddit bugman, like matriarchy, polyamory. He had a virulent hatred of Christianity. Like, yeah, Terrence McKenna, I hate to say it, he isn't this like a great
Oh, I love
visionary
McKenna.
as people think. But
Well, hold on,
sorry.
Blink. I'm curious. Wait, hold on a second.
Here's my-
Blink. Wait, hold on. 1 second. I'm curious about Glink's response specifically to the Terrence McKenna thing because I know that you're a big admirer of McKenna's. And by the way, we had his
Quick
I
brother.
love McKenna too.
We had his brother
Who is
Dennis McKenna on Break the Rules as well. But I do want to hear from Glink as far as addressing the thing that Gio said specifically with whether Terrence McKenna's views ended up inflicting themselves in this unprecedented view on the subsequent generations. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, McKenna viewed it like we're on this course to complete human destruction, basically, with the way society is structured, the way things are going. And this was back in like the 80s, right? When you'd have these lectures and stuff. But he was spot on with talking about the virtual world and how he was basically saying this.
Yeah, he was.
And he saw the potential in it, and then obviously now it's been corporatized and all that. But the thing about McKenna that I really like is that he was basically a big advocate of psychedelics, obviously. And he would talk about how that is sort of this original technology that reminds you of the essence of life, the essence of what it is to be human. Because the way he saw it was that if we understood where we come from, then it wouldn't be this big thing you have to like explain to people. It's just something people understand intuitively about where they come from, why life is here, what this whole creation thing is. But we're so conditioned by everything from the time we're young to just completely forget about what is actually the point of life. I mean, it's like it's not to earn money, it's not to spend time at a job that you hate, it's not any of that stuff. It's just
family.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's family, it's connecting, it's experiencing, it's just being in a state of, I guess, balance with the world, right? And we're clearly way out of balance right now.
Well,
I agree, but the problem is
Let me.
he hated the bourgeois family. That's the problem. Like, he thought the
I just want to
nuclear
bring up
family was
why.
like,
I just want to bring up why I bring up Terrence McKenna because I actually love Terrence McKenna. I think he was right about very many things. Frankly, I think he was actually like connected to a CIA university, and there's a lot of stuff going on there, and that goes that goes all the way back to the Illuminati, the Bavarian Illuminati that my family outlawed. They were the kings of Bavaria. And then that goes back to the Garden of Eden and just lies in general and the whole life is but a dream bullshit. So anyway, my point is that Terrence was right about pretty much everything, and a lot of what he said did in fact unfold. But because he was on the cutting edge and a pioneer with the gift of being able to pull anything back from that world, most people don't have the ability to remember or communicate the things that they experience. And he was very, very fluent and capable of talking to people at great length about these things. But his problem was that he actually was right, and what he did actually ended up helping quite a lot. But he was advocating for the dissolution of all boundaries, which it turns out if you don't have, like, it's not about the dissolution of all boundaries or like putting up absolute boundaries all over the place. It's about a healthy ego and a healthy sense of boundaries, which is incredibly hard to determine. If you dissolve all your boundaries, you effectively become an acid casualty and lose your ability to survive or discriminate between objects properly.
Well, yeah, like, what do you think the Epsteins were doing? That's like, I know this is like, you know, a logo level, like the left or the real Nietzscheans take, but it is true. Like, when you look at what people like Jeffrey Epstein, the people that the scientists that he surrounded himself with, that was like the ultimate dissolution of all boundaries. That's like, why do you think they fund transhumanism? Like, Terrence, if you I don't know if you guys have Clink, if you came across the Douglas Ruskoff book, Siberia, where he interviewed McKenna, and they were talking about how the internet is like a mind expanding experience and all of that. But that's sort of like Silicon Valley meets the New Age utopianism. That like created like the absolute mental hell world that we're experiencing right now.
I want to say
this fucking Silicon Valley self-help bullshit. You know?
I do want to say in defense of McKenna again, because I've been listening to him a lot recently. But another thing that he was completely right about, which I think we're still coming to terms with right now, especially with everything going on, is this scientism, this worship of science as this priesthood and as this like worldview that everything needs to, again, going back to language. Yeah, but like the idea that everything has to be deterministic, defined through language, through science. But when you do that, you rob the point of life, in my view, which is to interpret things. Yeah, the humanness, to find meaning. And then the end result of that is that humans are phased out of the equation and that machines and whatever are just because that's the end result of science, is deterministic machines, basically.
That I like to think about is that, well, people think, oh, it's always going to be the end of the world or whatever, but this is what people were thinking when the Industrial Revolution first started. We're really in the beginning of something entirely new. While the internet is going through a dark phase, is what I want to say, because these things generally don't last forever. When people are unsatisfied, they will make themselves heard. That has always been the case through countries, through empires, through what tribes, clans. They will make themselves heard. They will revolt and create something better or worse, but it's just something new. And one thing that I'm quite hopeful for is I think people will realize, well, I don't have anything. I'm living in an apartment, going to a job from 9 to 5, and all I do is watch porn, and that's basically it. That's basically my life. People cannot live like that. Something is going to snap and break, and which is why I think a war is coming, because there are millions and billions of people.
The war is not coming, though, because people are not. That's all of what you said is true, except for the part where you think that people are angry enough to actually do something. Because the truth is, most people are lulled into this sense of conformity and comfort in their homes.
In their
look what we're doing
cave.
right now. We're talking about the collapse of the world from our iPhones, sitting comfortably in our homes. That's why they're.
Yeah, I even lowered my standing desk now so that I'm actually sitting down properly instead of standing. That's how comfy I am right now. The only thing that'll make this comfier is if you subscribe to BreakTheRules.tv. All the people who are here on Twitter, go to BreakTheRules.tv right now, subscribe, and that's gonna make me extremely comfy. But I do also want to ask, who was the person who said about restoring a sense of American or any country patriotism? Maz.
It was me.
Maz, you're my new best friend. Thank you so much for saying that. We don't get a lot of that. So Gio, that was a good call call to let Maz in, a little bit more support on my front. But I would also say to that I think that there is a lot of, when you say that there's too much open-mindedness, I think that there is actually too much closed-mindedness within various circles that ended up forming. Maybe those are smaller circles than, let's say, I don't know, considering yourself to be an American or a German or whatever, but these are still circles that enforce a particular doctrine. And I think it's very difficult for people both on the left and the right, I'm not excusing the right by any means, of escaping from that doctrine. And that's why I think a lot of things like, you know, certain things related to anti-Semitism and other racist things like that keep on appearing. And I think it's difficult even for people to get out of that mindset because they're just kind of stuck in it, because there's nobody there except for me, there's nobody in there to give an opposition.
Well, you know what Glink was saying about the lack of autonomy.
Can I answer? I think I was being too vague about open-mindedness. I just mean that I think there's just some certain ideas that never really should go away. That makes America, like the idea that we are all entitled to the sweat of our brow, the entitlement that we should all be able to own a house by a certain age, or have a wife, or have kids, or have a nice paying job that we feel satisfied with.
These are outdated ideas,
or write books. Are they really outdated ideas, or are they just things that everybody should be able to have that haven't been able to manifest through people stealing wealth away from the middle class through shipping out jobs during the 70s and 80s and 90s?
No, you're right. All of that is...
Yeah, I agree. Hey, I have one major disagreement with whoever it was that said that we're not at war. I made this point the other day, which is actually America. I live in Ohio, and this is literally the most dangerous war zone on the face of the earth. And it's especially fucked up because it is so sophisticated that it can appear that it is not to many people. And the stakes are so high that if something fucks up here, the whole world dies, which is not exactly the case to such an extremity in other parts of the world.
Wait, Ohio? What's going on in Ohio? Can you elaborate?
Yeah,
Ohio.
What's going on?
Ohio is literally nicknamed the heart of it all. It is effectively the geopolitical, cultural, most important swing state in. Like, it's the nexus of the entire. It's literally shaped like a heart, where a heart would go on the country. It's the nexus of the entire, of pretty much all power, in a sense.
Ohio is the nexus of all power.
Why is that?
Did you know a disproportionate amount of deathmatch wrestlers have come from Ohio?
Yeah.
So there you go.
And
There's
presidents.
an extreme going on.
Oh boy.
No, but it is true. They say that you have to win. The only way to win the presidency is if you win Ohio. If I believe so, or Ohio or Virginia.
Actually, it's not even that. It's literally just until the elections were fortified. It was literally just me and a handful of my friends that determined the fate of the fucking world. Is actually how it worked.
Oh yeah.
Did you guys steal ballot boxes?
No, it's literally just that the entire thing is split 50-50 and a couple people just put their finger on the scale.
Jesus.
Wow.
Okay, I want to address the war thing, though, and what Maz said. So, we are in a war, but what I'm saying is war is not, it's not like we're going to go on the trenches. It's like the war is right now. It's the war of information. And really, if you want to get more, again, this is back to McKenna, it's the war, the last frontier of science. What's the weakest area of science? Do you guys know?
What?
Psychology.
Psychology.
You're right.
Because
I completely disagree again. Psychology is literally the only science.
No.
As a Jungian, I totally agree, 100%.
Why?
Science is fake and G-slur, except for psychology.
Psychology is literally everything that you could conceivably experience in any context.
No, that's perception and experience. Psychology is just the study of the mind by science. See, you're already calling
psychology.
I think that would be phenomenology, actually.
Psyche and Eros, the story of Psyche and Eros, where the term psychology comes from, is the study of the soul.
Which is why it's a tragedy that faith and that science are not intertwined, because you can't have just the logic without the heart. And what is heart other than loving God? Loving God, you know.
No, I agree. That's really all that matters at the core of it. So I agree with you. But in terms of what I'm trying to say is that there's this war of information, right? Did you guys agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the modern day war, is the war of information. What I think it's really about is to determine the future of humanity, of psychology. Are we experiments in science that we can label as this person is neurodivergent, this person needs this happy drug to live in the matrix? Or is it more like this is the end point of science? This is not where we find meaning. The science can't explain the soul. It can't explain the divine spark, the consciousness, really. I mean, it doesn't even have any answers for consciousness right now. I mean, some people are trying to...
Well, it can explain, or the lack of certain information can be a way that it can explain. For example, there was a recent video by Robert Seffer, who I like to call the Duck Whisperer, because of those intros that he does. And once again, I'm very much against a lot of the views that he has on certain things. But at the same time, when it comes to
Interesting.
you know what it is, Joe. But at the same time, when it comes to his conversations about life after death, he had this video where the scientist was talking about how when a person, and multiple times it was recorded, when they are in a coma or when they're supposed to be completely dead, when their neurological activity is so low that they would not have any recognition of whatever's going on. When they came back, they reported certain things that they were aware of at the time when they were under, that the brain activity would not be able to account for. And at the same time, they were also talking about how they felt way more lucid. They understood everything that was going on very clearly at that time, and then when they went back into their body, that's when, well, supposedly, that's when they started feeling the pain and feeling just this just this straining way of being, as opposed to being free and very lucid, which is an experience that, from what I hear, a lot of people who have taken DMT or ayahuasca report, where they talk about being in a state that's realer than reality itself. And I think the important thing here is this idea of the brain not being able to function, not like, let alone at that level, just the amount of neurological activity that was reported at that time, you wouldn't be able to be coherent or wouldn't be able to focus on anything. It just wouldn't be possible. So that may be kind of like the trick to being able to prove that there is something going on besides the physical body, physical brain, that we may be more of a receiver than anything else. But I don't know.
Rupert Sheldrake kind of gives the key to this one. So the question that nobody ever seems to ask is like, okay, so the laws of physics, what are they? And is there anything behind them? Like, what makes the laws of physics themselves work? And there's been some debate as to the variable speed of light and things not exactly being constant. And so if you get into Rupert Sheldrake, what you find is that the inherent geometry of the vibrations of energy is where information is stored, and that is actually the base of your ability to have memories. And it's not exactly the neurons or however you want. That's kind of how memory works, and every single object has effectively its real identity is like an infinite amount of information stored within.
So what you're saying is information is stored in the balls.
Yes,
it could be.
Yes,
balls.
I mean, that's
like
literally true.
Yeah,
that's
balls
true.
as in the sphere. You know, the third eye. That's like the ball. That's the ball that contains everything, and that is the one source that
the orb, if you will.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
One
thing. And so beyond the laws of physics would be memetics. So like, what are the laws of physics but a set of patterns? So like, what governs patterns? And then even beyond memetics, like, which if you get into Jungian psychology is basically literal gods. So you get into the realm of the gods, and then beyond that, you have to ask then, you know, like people are wondering about transferring their consciousness into a robot. And I'm just like, well, look at the grammar of what you are saying. My consciousness, my thoughts, my body. Which kind of implies that those are a form of property and not exactly your true nature. So like, I don't see that as scientifically impossible, but the question then becomes, I don't even think that consciousness is the base of what we're dealing with, and thus all of the potential hallucinatory God thoughts in all versions of alternate realities with different laws of physics are still based in something deeper, which gets into the ineffable. So if you really want to just go read some really old fucking books, like, I'm not saying anything new.
Have you done any psychedelics?
I am actually maybe one of the leading psychedelic experts on Earth. I was a rogue psychology student. And because of all the red tape, I decided to turn myself into a human experiment.
Wow. Ted Kaczynski?
I've done well. No, they didn't do it to me. I just did it to myself because that was
that guy.
That was the only ethical thing that I could come up with.
What drugs the government put you on? What
Well, actually, that is an interesting story because I was basically tortured my entire childhood. I basically see it as a kind of super soldier program because like all the ADHD and bipolar and all that bullshit, if you really dig through the layers of everything that was going on there, it's kind of like creating an autistic super soldier because you can hyper focus on specific details. You can you're like a zombie, you're alienated from everything and fucking fuck your emotions. And honestly, like you can just go hours and hours and hours playing video games or whatever without food.
This is like
water.
Twitch, I think, is a government like this. Twitch is creating the autistic super soldier game. Let's Player of the future.
Well, Twitch is programming an entire generation to be Marxist.
I wanna just make a point here, is that what these people doing like Fauci and all those people isn't really science.
By the way, we gotta be careful though. We're on YouTube. Just all right. No.
Right.
No. You can talk about it. Use Creole. Be creative.
Well, that proves the point, doesn't it?
Yes.
I for one love Dr. Fauci.
Yeah. No, if we were doing a stream that was not on YouTube, if it was only like on DLive and Odyssey, then it's BTR After Dark. You could say whatever the hell you want, but that's not what we're doing for this particular experiment. See, what we have to do. By the way, hold on.
Call him medicine man. Call him medicine man.
Hold on. What we got to do, and this is very important. What we got to do right now, all as an audience, is go to the Odyssey channel on Break the Rules and subscribe to Odyssey as well, and also subscribe to YouTube. So that's breaktherules.tv. The link is right in the description. Breaktherules.tv. But yes,
I gotta go for now. But this has been great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming in, Ghislaine. I appreciate it.
Thank you. God bless, my friend.
Take care, and hopefully soon.
So if we want more speakers,
we're gonna get more speakers. And what I want to do is
I just wanted to finish what I was saying is that I'm gonna avoid his name, I guess.
Call him the medicine.
Oh wait, hold on, Maz.
Yeah,
Maz, hold on, Maz. Right. Before
AZT man.
Hold on a second, Maz. Hold on, Maz. Sorry. Before that, I just want to I just want to find one thing out. I was told that there is a way that you can post links into the Twitter Hangout thing.
Yeah, you can post tweets.
Okay, how do you do that? Can somebody help me out here?
Go to go to the There's a way you could do it if you're a host. Let me see. There's the writing. There's a way you could do it. Let me Google it, actually.
Okay, so while Gio is Googling it, Maz, take over.
Science in its real form is just really in a very advanced form of common sense, which is what it's made to do. And there's nothing wrong with scientific improvement as long as we take into account what it means to be a man, what it means to feel, what it means to just be. Like, there's points where it can go too far. Like, I don't know if you've seen this, but they made robots that can actually reproduce. You've seen that, right? You've seen that story?
No. Okay. With those robots, reproduce. No, I don't think that's exactly the case. I think that what happened with those robots is that there was actually live tissue that they were utilizing. It wasn't like they made these things completely from scratch. So they did not create life.
That's almost more horrifying.
Yeah, it's not really any better. But like, my point is that science is meant to be questioned. It's meant for all of us to come together and be like, by this data that I've seen, it doesn't look like that's really true. And like, okay, but by this data, it seems like it is. and then you have a conversation about it. I think that's what people trying to worship it don't understand. They just don't understand the true meaning of what it is to be a scientist or to just follow whatever field you want to follow. Is that it's just a constant state of questioning is what it is, and then it refines itself further and further until there is an eventual solution or something like that. The questions never stop coming, which is great. Everybody should have some type of input into these things, whether they know a lot or people don't know a lot.
Yeah, like you associating science with just advanced common sense. Like, that's one of the smartest fucking things I've ever heard in my whole life.
It's what it is. It's literally what it is. It's exactly what it is.
All right, Lev, I found out how to do it.
No problem with that.
Okay, how do you do it, Gio? What do you do?
You have to go to the actual tweet and go to the share icon, and if you're a host of a space, it gives you the option to share in the space. Yeah, that's why it was
no way. Okay, well, I'm going to try that. Sorry I cut you off, guys, Maz and King Salmon and...
Yeah, I have to
first.
leave, so I want to say one more thing before I leave. So we do have this psychological warfare problem going on that is, kind of a spiraling cultural paradox / conflict war. So the interesting thing that I found is you can actually, apparently I'm literally a legend and can just brainwash basically anyone. Don't worry about that. So my point is basically this: if you want to revolutionarily change somebody's worldview, you just have to kind of dig deeper and deeper into the various layers. Where it's like, okay, if it's called pacing and leading is one of the basics of persuasion. So it's like, do you really like your job at McDonald's? Is this serving your deeper need for satisfaction? Because what we have is like an autonomic nervous system, a limbic system, all of these things. Like, I'm even gonna completely give Nietzsche credit, but then completely tear his shit to shreds. Which is to say that we have a emotional valence system, which gives like up or down value, like good or bad, to just about anything. But it's much easier to see in other people when they have cognitive dissonance because they keep running into brick walls. So even though your internal experience is a simulation, there is such a thing as objective reality underneath that connects the subjective and objective. And you can effectively reprogram that disconnected simulation any way that you want, but the underlying reality never changes. And functionally, most people, in terms of their brain and their various organs with the neurons and the energetic memory involved, pretty much everyone wants the same thing. So if you can just keep digging deeper and deeper into their drives and their need for literally just transcendent spiritual love, you can pretty much change absolutely anything else, because the entire material world holds no sway over love.
Yeah.
So is this also connected in a way to your icon? Because I noticed that you have that the Ouroboros, similar to Styx, and you have that dot in the center as well as the cross that's above. Can you explain?
Well, it's a Zen Enso, which is basically an Ouroboros, like an empty circle. But then in the middle is actually a circumpunct and a phi connected, and then it's actually a globe. What's it called? Globus Crucis, like Christ's dominion over all.
Interesting, because
awesome.
when it comes to the cross,
that's some
itself,
hardcore synchronism right there.
Yeah, when it comes to the cross itself, I've always seen it as being a symbol of everything meeting up at the center. So
yes, actually,
yours is above the center, though.
I really have to leave, but I should shout out Jesus because he's the only person that was ever cooler than me. So, like the no, for,
amen.
So, no, for real. The interesting thing about the patterns of self-sacrifice and resurrection and all that is actually an inescapable mechanic of reality itself at the most fundamental level, which is to say that no matter what you do, you are sacrificing your entire life and being to it, whatever it is that you choose to do. So that's probably why you should seek heaven and all will be given to you kind of thing, because it is that Peterson nonsense about picking the highest ideal and literally sacrificing your life to it. You have no choice but to self-sacrifice. It is our nature. And even further, every single moment of existence is constantly dying and being reborn So that is fundamentally an inescapable. Jesus was definitely real and was completely right, and that is it.
Nice.
You know,
What
do you guys think about Liv's Up TikTok? Liv's
Amen.
Up TikTok?
Amen.
Amen,
That's
man.
what I think of
Lives up.
Lives Up
I think
TikTok.
it's the Joker. They literally all are expressions of like the Joker archetype. I swear to God, they're like, look at their makeup and look at what they're doing. It's a like right hemisphere versus left hemisphere. I think the right hemisphere is waking up to some degree in our left hemisphere dominant society, and it's fine. Don't worry about it. I gotta go. Peace.
All right, thank
See
you
you,
so
man.
much for coming in, Kick Salmon. Wait, Gio, I have a question. How are you sharing this? Are you sharing this on your phone? Are you sharing this on the computer? What are you
My
doing?
phone.
Guide me through this. Your phone. Okay,
Yeah,
maybe
you
that's
go
why
over
it's
the
not...
tweet and you click share. So we have UG in. If you want to speak, brother, we were floating the idea of having you on BTR anyways. So you wanted to speak.
Where is Eugene here? We also have Jacob
Send
Lindsay
an
as well
invite.
coming in. All right, so let's see.
And I'll
So
invite
you are on
Nathan Duffy again.
One thing
You're-
that I was hoping to talk to is Turkey Tom. I'm like a huge fan of his, and I
Oh,
saw that
shit.
he was in here. So like, oh my god, I'm gonna join because he's
Yeah,
here.
I think he left. But
But I'm
Well, let me
happy
see
I
if
did
I
though,
can.
because I get to
Let me see
talk
if I
to
can
you
wrangle
guys.
the turkey. Well, let me see if I can wrangle the turkey back in here for a Thanksgiving thing. Yes, exactly. No, I'm
so
trying
I
to
was
figure out
going
the
to
thing with the
say,
links.
now that Yuji is listening, Glink was talking about the sort of the individuality of the subject, and Mary Harrington was here before, and unfortunately she left because I think it's getting late. It's getting pretty late there in Bongland. But there's this book, very terrible, by that Bratton guy at Varso. He's a total Varso tard. And he wrote this book in response to Giorgio Agamben over the global world tour Pestilence, Backstreet Boys world tour. And he basically used a lot of the critiques of scientism present in post-structuralist philosophy and postmodernism from Derrida and Lyotard and so forth, but actually in a weird way to prop up the scientistic neoliberal global order. And the way he does this is saying that let's call it global pestilence, is a way in which the actual genome of civilization, like on a biological level, we are connected, and now because we're connected by the global, Backstreet Boys World Tour live in China, pestilence, because the sort of confines of biology has affected the globe the way that information technology has. Therefore, we're no longer a subject. That, he looks at it and he's saying, well, actually, the societies of control is the good thing, because we have no more things. Like, there's no more any notion that you are an individual self, or that you are a contained unit, or that you have a sense of a soul or a subjectivity. Though he said you should think of yourself as an object, actually, and that you are part of the global biomedical pharmacological regime, and that actually it's a good thing, because for some odd reason we have to preserve life above all else. And so this is what these like hardcore like left acceleration people think, that write for Varso or Zero Books, which is really odd, because you're basically predicating what Agamben would say is like the sort of role of bare life itself above all things. And it's like the absolute, and of course he's a transhumanist as well, so this is like the absolute limit of transhumanism. But what they don't say is that the sort of quality of life is erased, right? So you're just preserving a biometric, you're preserving a mass of humanity. Because what is the logic of every transhumanist sort of thinking? Is that, well, maybe it's not good if like there's X number of people on the earth, and the people that are on the earth, we should preserve them above all else, because there is no God, there's no metaphysics, there's nothing. There is just like bare life. And then therefore to conquer death, we have to keep life itself into this horrendous stasis. So if you actually, I encourage people to go, maybe not like, I encourage people to go to LibGen, not actually give money to this fucking ghoul, but go and buy that Bratton book. Go and buy it. Not buy it, go and LibGen it. Because it's quite a read. It's like basically the blueprint of the global pestilence that we have been experiencing for the past 2 years. And another thing too, please go to Yuji's blog, his Substack, and if you really want someone who understands what's been going on the past 2 years of this particular issue. I mean, there is no better. Him, Dr. Benjamin Braddock. But I just think it's very interesting how in this time in particular, the sort of issues that we're talking about of what is the role of life and what is the role of existence as a biological unit, how that is being thrown into question now by the Backstreet Boys World Tour live in China, right? So that is like this issue of no longer are we thinking of things in terms of our in terms of a nation or an identity or a sense of self, but now it's like this, like, and this is where Moldbug was totally wrong when he wrote these articles about how it's going to destroy the neoliberal global project. If it's actually strengthened it, because now we're thinking in terms of history, neoliberal mosaic society of like, the one world global, every disease affects everybody, man. So think about as world citizens, and so that the whole like argument that these like reactionaries had in the beginning, that like the global pestilence is going to disrupt power, it's going to shut down borders, it's going to limit the efficacy of the global homogenous regime. That was totally crap. Like, that didn't happen. It strengthened it. So we have to look at the logic of why is it that logically this thing could have destroyed the neoliberal project, but it's actually strengthened it. How has that happened? Because we're thinking of things in terms of this sort of global biopharmacological apparatus
Quick
of
question.
control. Yeah, so, sorry, go ahead. I'm rambling right now.
What do you? You're right. I mean, you're right. But what I want to ask is, what do you think about classicalism? Sorry. You know what I'm saying. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? What do you think about it?
It's not a thing anymore. He talks about how classical liberalism, or what people just knew as the original sort of Scottish Enlightenment liberalism, how that not only was that destroyed, but also the parameters by which it was a reality it doesn't exist anymore, because all of the sort of like values that we think of, like for example in America with like the yeoman farmer Jeffersonian ideal, classical liberalism, and I know Carlsbad was here, he left, he would like me saying this, but classical liberalism was basically the values of what a lot of people like on the political right would talk about. Like, think of this is why people like Richard Spencer kind of like paleo progressives, because they believe in like a very rigid racial hierarchy, but at the same time they believe in like liberal egalitarianism among that particular phenotype. That's why like Richard Spencer talks about. No, but the thing that a lot of classical liberals, like, they would jive with it, especially in America. Like, you had like Lothrop Stoddard was like the classic liberal du jour, but yet his thought is very similar to Spencer. Like, why do you think Richard Spencer talks about like voting for Joe Biden, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's because
but the problem with associating somebody like Spencer with classical liberalism is that by the inherent quality of excluding people based on certain characteristics they have no power over, I wouldn't say, if we were to define classical liberalism in the particular way that I think warrants it, I wouldn't say that would be a part of it at all. I understand what you're saying.
No, but the classical liberals, they explicitly said that they were very much like a Western, like a Eurocentric project. Like, they very much were just as like, maybe not explicitly racialist, but I mean a lot of them were. It's just that classical liberalism, this sort of what people think it isn't really like the situation anymore. Like, yes, it is true that classical liberalism metastasized into like this modern like radical liberal form, but what Paul Gottfried was trying to say in that book After Liberalism is he's saying that what we have now is so different, like the sort of current crop of like modern leftism, or even like modern like conservatard like American like tax cuts for the rich sort of deal, that's sort of such a deviation from what these classical liberals and the Scottish Enlightenment actually thought. And so he was saying that classical liberalism simply doesn't exist anymore. That this whole thing about like, let's go back to classical liberalism. Well, classical liberalism is basically like, it is kind of like what people in like the first wave of like the alternative right were talking about. Like they're very much the fact that you have this like sort of welfare statism married to like hipster racism. It's kind of like that doesn't make any sense, but you have to look at it from the lens of what these classical liberals actually believed, and like from the post Enlightenment onwards, right? Because what we have now is like totally different. So,
but we could take certain. But we can take certain. But Gio, we could take certain aspects of what the people believed back then and bring it back while not taking other aspects and leaving them behind, as I think was done. The big problem is that I think that there is too much, what's the right word here? I think there is too much philosophizing going on here, where models are created in our heads of what this particular model looks like, and we don't take into account any nuance in life. Like when you go outside right now, it's not like everybody's... I mean, yes, you could say that people are programmed to a certain extent by, the woke paradigm or whatever the fuck, but then again, there are still aspects of people where it makes a lot of sense to me that if there was somebody who did a good job, I would hire them and I would work with them regardless of what color their skin is, and first I would judge their character. I think that is something that is inherent, and something that if people were living with people who did not display any bad intentions and did not, didn't act horrible, then it wouldn't matter to those people what color they would be or where they would come from. I think this is a very basic thing. I think we're overcomplicating this a lot when we try to create all of these classifications and say, well, we are not living in classical liberal times anymore, and back then this is what it meant. It's like, I don't know, at a certain point there's just so much mental masturbation going on about these terminologies, and I would rather just be very common sense and say, like, what are things that we don't want to happen here? Like, obviously we don't want children to be undergoing all the horrible things that the media is inflicting upon them today. That's very basic. But also, I don't think we want to have this centralized state where somebody that maybe, Gio, you would look up to them and I wouldn't, or the other way around, where somebody would start to enact certain policies that would be, infringing upon the dignity of people, where people will be forced to do things against their will to... And yes, you could say that right now there are certain aspects of that are present, and those need to be fought against, obviously. But
no, the problem is, Lev, the problem is that it's sort of like a conservatard, like, cope. Like, it's like a contard cope to be like, well, there's this other group of people that came to the West and, like, they infiltrated, and, like, the cultural Marxists, for instance. Like, it's sort of a fantasy that you have. I mean, yeah, maybe there's some of it, but it's sort of like you're constructing a narrative in order to deflect from the fact that liberalism has failed you, and has failed like largely Western European descendant people, and that you can't like really say these funny group of Germans of a certain ethnic origin that they came over to America and they destroyed the universities. Like that's like James Lindsay Contard crap, right? Like you have to really acknowledge what we're dealing with, because it isn't like some like specter of like some Marxoid thinking that's going on. Like when we're talking about like the global measures against this particular pestilence, I mean these are like largely Western liberal societies, and like I mean there's other ones like Singapore that are even like more brutal, but like people don't talk about it because there's a media blackout.
Yeah, but there's still a couple of things you can do. You can either philosophize about it or you can fight against it. And if you're going to fight against it, then propose a better system than a liberal one. What is the better system that you have in mind? That's what I understand.
No, but I'm saying like there's sort of like the termination of action itself within the political. That's like the big problem. In this system that we've concocted, this sort of like very like anglicized American global liberal order is specifically designed to like basically inhibit all political action. And yeah, you could point out to like the protests against the lockdowns in various countries, but the reality like still remains that like unless you live in like a very like sort of like right-wing enclave like Florida or wherever, like the vast majority of Western people are going to go along with it because they have been instantiated with the belief within the liberal managerial state. They have, been told that political action really is like a thing of the past. It's almost like barbarity because all politics has been solved. Now we just have this like one order, and that's it. Because all political issues are a matter of.
But then I don't understand. What do you? Yeah, but then what do you do? Because from what I see, what is being done on particular circles of the internet is there is a solution being offered. People aren't just sitting around musing about how horrible it is, and the solution that's being offered is fascism, or even worse than fascism, and that's something that you have to admit is going on, and I see that as being a lack of creativity, basically a combination of being blackpilled against the world, while at the same time admiring certain qualities in people that you would want to elevate.
Yeah, but you have to face reality, Lev. Like, this is like the other day with the Sunny there. Like, you can, like, say all you want, like go and touch grass if you're terminally online. But the reality is, like, birth rates across the Western world are declining into the toilet. And there's no, like, sort of way of saying, like, oh, well, that's not true. Like, I know people that have children who are Zoomers.
No,
like,
no, it's not even about. No, it's not even about that.
Statistically,
I do want there to be pushback against things that we would find to be unfavorable. My whole problem is that I think that there is a tremendous amount of closed-mindedness and lack of curiosity within reactionary right-wing circles as far as how to solve these things. It just becomes the basic.
No,
let's put the dictator in there. Yeah.
Let's bracket that for a moment because this is like the classic thing. What I'm saying is that there's this sort
no, what do you
of
mean the classic thing? That's the most important thing.
Action because of the specific issue that the world has been dealing with for the past 2 years. When you sort of link up that sort of biopharmacological state of control, which is predicated on the sort of preservation of life or bare life itself, when you've linked that to this ethical quandary of like, well, if you don't do this and you're a bad person, most people will go along with it because most people, they are, we live in a sort of like post-Christian age where most people are terrified of death because they no longer have a strong belief in their native ancestral religions anymore. You know what I mean? Like, what I mean by that, I mean, of course, Christianity. None of this, like, pagan LARPing stuff. But the point being is that, like, when you threaten people on the most fundamental level, which is their own mortality, in an age in which they have no recourse other than materialism, other than sort of like this apparatus of state worship control. Because, like, really, what is there in terms of a higher authority? And I hate to say it, but a lot of the churches in the West have failed people in this regard, in terms of being a source of authority to counteract the way they were in medieval Christendom, the worldly authority of these states.
Wait, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, wait.
So I actually have.
Okay, go for it. Yeah.
Sorry, I just have some real world experience with this. So I just became a full-fledged Catholic in my church, just full-fledged Catholic, and I had to go through CCD and all that jazz. They are not teaching Scripture as it should be taught.
Oh, exactly.
They are failing.
Exactly.
They are failing us by not giving us the real deal, because the real deal is what leads people down to being Christian, not just I'm a Catholic in name, or I'm a Protestant in name, or I'm this in name. That shouldn't even exist, because it doesn't need to. It's these people, the leaders of our faith, whether it's Protestants or Christian or Catholics, are failing us. It's simple as that. They are failing us. And no one wants to stand up and say, hey, to the Pope, you're failing us. You're saying that, oh, it's okay. Sins of the flesh aren't that bad. They're just not as bad as, like, jealousy or anything. They're all terrible. They are all terrible. All of them. And
but that's the thing. Like, that's my... Yeah, exactly. Sorry, did I cut you off?
Leaders, all of us, are failing us. It's not because it's slowly losing the holiness that was God's church. It's sickening, is what it is. It's sick. Half the kids that I went with are only there because their parents forced them to.
Yeah, exactly. Like, especially Catholic. Like, here in Canada, we have a separate Catholic in Ontario, school system, and like they should just merge them. They should get rid of it. There's no point in like the
Tux loves you. Tux loves you over here in the chat. It also says the watering down of Christianity is real. I mean, sure, I could agree with a lot of all this stuff that you're saying, and I can grant you all of these problems. But it seems like we talk about the problems, but then the only solutions that are ever brought up, and I think it's because number one, there isn't enough, which Break the Rules is trying to fix, but there isn't enough cross flow of different people to speak with each other. People end up in their own circle. So it is true, Gio, and you know this 100%, that among people who are talking about a lot of this stuff, specifically in your circles, most of the solutions are being brought up, and most of the solutions have to do with all the stuff that I don't want to have implemented, not only for the sake of, myself and my family, as far as not discriminating based on genetics, but for any family or anybody who would want to be living up to a certain expectation of what it means to be an American or what it means to live in the Western world. So my concern is that there is this closed-mindedness and that there isn't as much of a pushback, or not a violent pushback, but at least an exchange of ideas from people who would disagree with you on the solution. So I don't know. Twitter has what's going on here. Twitter has stopped. Open app again. Hold on. Are we still live? There we go, going back into space. Let's see, reconnect to space. There we go. I'm back, everybody. I'm back. I don't know what happened. I'm glad everybody is still here. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
All right. Where did I disappear off? What was the last thing I said?
You muted yourself for some reason. I don't know.
No, that's because the app crashed. But when did that happen? What was I saying before?
About some, I forget.
God damn it. Okay. No. Okay. Well, then I'll say it one more time. My whole point is that the reason why BTR is what it is, bringing people together who otherwise wouldn't speak with each other, is because I do feel that among people who are within a reactionary right-leaning circle, there is a solution. It isn't just talking about problems all day. There is a solution that everybody has in mind, and the solution would be one that would not be favorable for, let alone people who are, let's say, slightly liberal-minded. It wouldn't be favorable for people who would have the wrong genetics, whether we're talking about my family's ancestry on my mother's side, or whether we're talking about, some migrant from Nigeria who otherwise is perfectly qualified of exemplifying, qualities that any American would want to be exemplified. So my issue with this whole thing is, yes, there are all these problems you're talking about, Gio, you're right, but, I mean, don't assume that there isn't a solution that is being proposed all the time, and it's a very
but the solutions, Lev, they sort of ignore the facticity of people's cultures and races and so forth. Like, that's my point.
I'm talking about your solution. I'm talking about the solution that's being broadcast through more reactionary spaces. It's the same thing that we've heard time and time again. The whole I don't even want to get into it that much. I understand that it's kind of beating a dead horse.
No, I agree. The strong man of history sort of thing is not going to be reality for quite some time. But that's sort of I don't know.
But do you see something wrong if that's the only thing?
I don't know.
No, but Gio, I really do see something wrong with the fact that we do have a lot of the nudist body pillows. I want to say nudist bodybuilders that are reading exactly all the same books, not just BAP's book, but all the same stuff, and there doesn't seem to be any variety there. It's just like, it's a bubble, and I think that makes for less creativity.
Well, what are they reading,
how a lot
Lev?
of problems are solved. Well, okay, they're reading, They're reading that Cyclist of History book called Decline of the West. Obviously, they're reading that. They're reading Julius Evola. They're reading, what's the guy?
Miguel Serrano.
Yeah, Miguel Serrano. They're reading this Jewish dude. What's his name? The one who wrote about Iran.
Winnegar?
No. He's somebody who Fuentes likes. I'm trying to remember his name right now.
Paul Gottfried? No.
Yes,
no.
yes. Paul Gottfried. Yeah, they're reading Gottfried. But the point is that there still seems to be a circling.
How
of
does
the
he have
wagons
time
approach.
between the Let's Plays to read Paul Gottfried? Anyway, sorry, I'm casting shade. No,
But you see what I mean, Gio. The reason why I'm saying this is because I respect you as an artist and a friend.
They don't actually read. They pretend. They read ebooks.
Sure, well, that's even
friends.
worse. Yes, but the point is that how is this different than the fucking TikTok witches at the end of the day? You know, it's still just like this.
Oh
bubble
no! I agree, Lev. The problem is that the political right is also subject to the forces of like self-help grifter guruism. Obviously, not naming names, but I'm saying that the model of the political right being like these cults of personality that all hate each other and try to like grift off of their audience. As Break the Rules is trying to grift off their audience, please go to our Patreon.
Yes, patreon.com/breaktherules.
Content.
Here, I'm going to put that.
Need the super chats.
Yes, need the super chats. I'm
super chats to answer questions. Anyways, no, but this particular issue, and I see that Yuji left. So Lev, please maybe DM him because I really do want to talk to him.
I'm jamming it up over here. I'm typing in the Twitter for the Patreon, which I'm going to link to. By the way, everybody see the subscribe to the Break the Rules YouTube and help BTR grow. BreakTheRules.tv. Go there right now and subscribe. We got to get those subscriptions. The Cernovich Sticks Health Nut stream is happening. It's going to be happening December 23rd. So we've rescheduled it for later. My apologies for all the people who were looking forward to that happening today. There was a health situation with Cernovich, but we wish him all the best. He's going to be recovering hopefully very soon. But anyway, Patreon.
I got to go. I'll be back later.
Maz, thank you so much for coming in. I'm going to follow you later on. This is great to hear from you.
Thank you.
Well, let's see who else we got right now. So Mason, by the way, I wanted to thank Mason for the thoughtful message that he DM'd. He said, love the show. Been watching you guys for a bit now. Great work. I really appreciate that, Mason. Thank you so much, brother. And let's see who else we got here. We got a lot of people who I don't know, but thank you so much for watching the BTR stream. And we're doing a special thing over here with this After Hours. So this is live streaming on YouTube. It is live streaming on DLive. And on, in fact, let me go in here. I'm going to start the adverts once again that are going to be appearing on the chat for all of you who are watching this live. So this is both a Twitter space and at the same time it is also a live stream simulcasting YouTube, DLive, Twitch, Odyssey, and you guys got to follow us on Odyssey as well. I'm going to put the link in as well. But anyway, we do have to talk about Ghislaine Maxwell again because I want to get in Kristan. So Kristan T. Harris, he's a friend of mine. He was one of the witnesses during the Kyle Rittenhouse trial because he was one of the people who recorded Kyle. Not that not the famous video, but the one before that when Kyle was just talking with Kristan face to face, and he's now covering the Ghislaine Maxwell thing. One of the things that he noticed, and I'm going to post a picture here if I can, for those who want to see pictures, don't forget once again to watch this live in the link above that you could see in the Twitter space. But one of the pictures that he posted was there was just like one reporter that was outside other than him during the trial. I believe it was yesterday. I'm not exactly sure. But it is pretty interesting. Oh, looks like Kristan is live right now at 500 Pearl Street. So maybe later on he's going to come in here. But one of those photos was just one dude, one reporter that was there. And I guess there's that much of a lack of curiosity from the New York based reporters on what's going on, other than Kristan and
they're probably
this guy.
told not to go, Lev. They're probably told not to cover it.
Oh, maybe, or maybe they're just not interested. That's another possibility that people could be that have that much.
It's literally, in my opinion, one of the biggest stories of this century, but nobody wants to cover it except for schizos on Twitter and Band.video. And Godlike Productions and 4chan. That's really an indication of like modern, like late stage Western civilization right here, eh? Like that really is something about our. It says quite a lot about our society.
It does. Well, here's a photo. I posted it here. Hold on. Why isn't it loading? Let's see. Is it because... What the... Hold on. This is weird geo... Oh, hold on. I think I know why. Or I don't. Okay, anyway, I'm going to try to figure out what's going on.
Was it the titty photo?
Oh, you know what it was?
I think the tit?
No. I think it's because the stupid thing wasn't scrolling. Okay, now it works. Yeah, I gotta scroll it myself. But you see the photo that I posted over here in BTR chat?
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
So this is how empty this place is. And he wrote over here. Let's see if I can find. He wrote, only one TV camera out in front of the courthouse. And that's December 7th, so that was a couple of days ago at 5 p.m. Yeah, so that's what's going on there. That's a weird noise. I don't know if that's your phone. But anyway, let's get some more speakers here. We have Andrew Rogers, aka Tuxlovesyou, joining us. We have Duffy, and we have the disharmonious heretic back with us. So we got a lot of good people here. You know, we really value the amount of people that watch this right now. I mean, this is a small show. BTR hasn't been going for a long time, only since May of 2020, but already BTR has been growing by leaps and bounds, despite big tech not really being the best place for all this stuff to be promoted. So I am very grateful for all the donations, for all the super chats, for all the patrons that we're getting to keep this thing going. You know, this is one of a kind, because where else are you going to have the opportunity for people from all these different parts of the internet to regroup and talk? So especially with Twitter, yeah.
Now I have the Rob Van Dam "One of a Kind" song stuck in my head now. So so for all the new speakers, we have Phillip Daniel, Olda. We have my good friend Astro. No longer Flight Astral, but you know, he was Flight Astral till Jack, or rather Parag. God bless him, peace be upon him. All wisdom, shanti 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 on our new ruler, Parag. Hopefully he bears mercy down on us. From his mudra will touch us with his mercy.
Yes.
So I want the spiciest, hottest takes on the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. I already stated that the Josh Duggar thing is probably a distraction from it, because they can focus on a conservative Christian instead of, anyways, spiciest takes.
You just can't help it.
First? I just can't help it, love you.
All right. Next, well, let's see. I don't know, Philip. Do you wanna have some input on this conversation? What's up, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing well. You?
I'm doing great. I'm just sitting down here in my desk, on my standing desk. I'm finally sitting down. And check out this chair for all the people who are not watching this live. Shame on you. But here, this is the chair. Let's see if I can bring it up to the screen right now so you can sort of see it. Oh man, I've got it stuck here. So this is the...
It's a gamer fuel chair. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's the Embody chair from, what's that company? The Herman Miller.
Okay. Well, now that, no, God bless his soul, but, after Rush Limbaugh passed, I think that Ball and Branch bed sheets should sponsor BTR. So go to Ball and Branch, QR code, break the rules. I love the way that Rush used to say it. He's like, go to Ball and Branch, #code Rush, to get, God bless his soul. He was way more based than what people thought. So R.I.P. Rush Limbaugh.
R.I.P. By the way, so VG wants to see me recline. Let's see here. I'm gonna go on the lowest. I'm gonna go on the lowest setting. By Rush Limbaugh, I mean
Jim Morrison. He was Jim Morrison. Jim Morrison faked his death and became Rush Limbaugh. That's the conspiracy. So, how people say that Bill Hicks became Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, Jim Morrison became Rush Limbaugh. That's.
Oh man.
Yeah.
People can't just pass away and leave.
I believe it.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't really listened to a lot of. I haven't really listened to a lot of Rush Limbaugh at all. I'd say I have no idea what kind of a speaker he was.
No head.
He was. No,
You're not a ditto head, Lev?
No, I never got the. Never got the opportunity.
You're a victim of the.
Well, look, I was living
Anyway.
Gio. I was living in New York City, and we had the Jon
That's why I
Stewart
didn't
and the
listen to
Colbert.
Rush. Nobody in New
and all
York
there.
listens to Rush.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
they literally block out the signal. You can't live in New York City and listen to Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah, but the poor guy, he got addicted to the painkillers. That's one of the things that I found out about him. It's a shame, You know
what's funny? I remember one time years ago when he had this thing with Alex Jones. It was during the Talkies award show. Alex Jones is like, listen, I would never hold someone's personal failings against them. Then, like, literally the next second, he said, but, Rush Limbaugh, he had so many pills that could kill a grown horse. He had multiple doctors and nurses shopping for him. And it's like, oh my God, Alex, savage.
So they didn't really get along, those two, right?
Well, no, like, Alex Jones said that Rush would, like, steal his bits occasionally. Like, but then, like, near the end of his life, I guess, like, he became more cool with Rush Limbaugh. Like, yeah. Because it is true. There's people in media who've been stealing Alex Jones' takes for years. Like, especially, like, conservative media like Sean Hannity and all of that. Like, they'll, like, periodically get interns to listen to InfoWars. And they'll, like, steal his talking points.
There's something that looks so fake about Hannity. He looks so made up, so fluffed up. Do you know what I mean? Like with
he's the perfect
that tan.
boomer.
It's just it's all dolled up. That's what I would describe it. There was this Tim and Eric sketch called All Dolled Up, where they had these you could say like they were bit players or they were people who worked on rigging, did things behind the scenes on various TV productions in the 80s, and they were just sitting there having a chat, talking about the old days and kind of like one-upping each other. We're saying, well, what's his name? Philip Gould is it Philip Gould or what's the famous Gould in Hollywood? I'm trying to remember his name right now. I don't know if he was a director or not. Do you know who I mean? Who is a Gould?
I was going to say
Hollywood?
Glenn Gould, but Glenn
Thank
Gould
you.
is
That's it.
Canadian
That's it.
Pianist.
Wait, no, it's not Glenn Gould.
Yeah,
you're right.
not
No.
Glenn Gould.
No, that's the Gould that you know of because you're a pianist
Anyways,
as well.
please, Lev, no, not
Speaking of Glenn Gould.
Hold
Speaking of
on.
Glenn Gould, KMG is not a fan, so I've been told.
Oh no.
Wait, who is KMG?
Damn.
Kevin Michael
KMG?
Grace.
Who's that?
But he's also a fellow
Former co-host. That's Luke Ford's former co-host.
Who's Luke Ford?
Oh, he was part of the. Yeah, that's right. This is OG alternative, right? This is like a
this
blast
is back
from
in
the past.
the.
I have no idea who you people are talking about. Who are all these?
This is back when Godwin was Melhi, and back when Babylonian Hebrew was still active, and the golden age.
I think he's still on Twitter, Babylonian, but
yes, he is. But let's not dox him.
Yeah. So no, I wanted the spiciest takes. So if you want to go first, then we're gonna go to Andre, then Ulda, then Astral, then Zero Cav again, joining us again. Zero Cav.
I haven't been paying too close attention to this case. I haven't had time. It's funny though, because I recently, just as an aside, I received my certificate for recommendation to the Pennsylvania bar, so I'll be admitted to the Pennsylvania bar soon.
Woo!
Which is
nice.
Quite nice, yeah. And but no, I haven't
mean
been
a
paying too
lawyer
close attention.
that happens to... Never mind.
Yes, a lawyer, composer, Jew, right? Trifecta.
You can say that. I can't.
Yeah. Also copyrighted, but
Oh man, your mom must be
testimony.
very proud.
She is very proud.
None of his music.
Yesterday
by
she
the
was
way,
disappointed,
but
today she's proud. But
Yeah. Of being a lawyer, not of his music, ironically enough. But no, I mean your mother likes your music.
No.
Oh well, yeah. Well, I mean, you know what I mean. Anyways.
Wait, Philip, what kind of music does your mom like?
Judy Garland, Barbra Streisand, Barry Manilow.
That's
Maybe-
why she doesn't like
Yeah.
you. You trying to do like?
What about like Ethel Merman?
man.
Like that also something like that, right?
I guess she likes some Edvard Grieg, maybe. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Some Rachmaninoff, but
Hmm.
if I shared with her the Paganini variations by Rachmaninoff, I don't think she'd like that.
I see. So she
Some
likes
related-
there being a little bit more jazz hands, a little bit more sing and dance, right?
Perhaps, yeah, a little less disharmonious.
That's true. That is the quality that you that you imbue in your music, and it's something that it requires. It requires, I think, a lot of patience and a lot of perceptiveness to be able to get into
So my
that
recent
music.
uploads have all been very conservative and tonal.
Hmm.
If you haven't
Indeed.
noticed, very accessible.
That's the
Those
thing.
are earlier pieces.
That
just
is true.
enjoy the-
Yeah.
I just enjoy the music. I don't know what to tell you, Philip. You're an incredible... And by the way, guys, follow Philip on Twitter right now. He's an incredibly talented musician. I don't know how many followers he has, but he needs more followers. He needs more followers, so sneed him your follow right now, okay? But anyway, any thoughts on Ghislaine? The lane of Jizz. Any thoughts on her?
Some of the testimony is a little bizarre. And it does look like she was an equal partner in this business relationship, if I may say so. But I haven't been paying too close attention to it.
I did like that photo with the foot massage.
I know the defense was arguing that Ghislaine Maxwell is being victimized by a sexist legal system, a sexist judicial system. That's predictable. That's par for the course.
They're trying to do the Carla Homolka defense, which
Yeah.
I find laughable in so many levels.
Did they do that?
Myself.
Was
Yeah,
was that defense used with the Smallville actress?
Oh, the XT
convicted?
whatever call. Yeah.
Oh, there's an update, by the way, from Chris Don. He says, Ghislaine Maxwell defense team just moved for acquittal of charges. Annie Farmer testifies live from Southern Jurisdiction Courthouse. We need your help. So, let me see if I could share this link over here. This is on Facebook, by the way. So, Chris Don still uses Boomer Book for the broadcast here.
Without doxing myself, I live fairly close to where Carla Homolka and Bernardo were doing their crimes in the early 90s. And every time like a female defendant comes up, they do this like typical victim of abuse thing. But I don't think like they could really do it with Ghislaine, because like just the sheer evidence of like her being like a top procurer, it's like ridiculous to even suggest, that she was abused or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, she knew all these people, and I don't know, do you think she's going to get off? Is there, what's the, if you're a betting man, what would you say?
Look at Astra's tweet. This one broke me, bro. Is not gonna make... She does look super, like, Astra, she does look super cute in this photo, I gotta admit. I have a thing for older women. I don't know why. Just it is what it is.
Lev, hey, how long are you guys gonna be on for?
I have no idea. This is an
however
experiment.
long you want, man.
This is an experiment, so we'll see what happens.
Maybe till like I would say 6:37. I don't know.
All right, I'm super indisposed at the moment, but I'm gonna stay on and I'll be back. All right, don't have too much fun without me. I'll be back. Thanks for giving me the mic. Gio Pennacchietti, nationalism forever.
Thank you, my brother. Yeah, he's got a wife and kids and all that. He's busy, so. Anyways, yes.
But I will be back though. So you guys ham it up. Thank you so much.
No problem, my brother. Oh my God, we have Dago Supremacist. I wonder if he wants to talk. I'm gonna invite Dago on. He's a good friend of mine. So Andre, did you have or Philip, are you done, or do you want to? The floor is yours.
I think I'm done. I mean, there's not much that I can say on this. I haven't paid much attention to it. I can't.
So how about
disclose
Tux?
anything? The protective orders and confidentiality agreements, but I've been working on a case involving a certain insurance company behemoth. So,
Ooh.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Andrew, you want to talk, my friend, and then maybe Zero and then Olda?
I was just going to ask Lev in which sense, to his question he posed.
What's the question?
You
What do you
asked, oh no.
I'm confused.
You asked if you thought she was getting off.
Oh man, that's such a kindergarten level. No, that's fine. Listen, you have a charity that you should promote. Okay, what's this charity that you were working at?
So the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is doing we're doing this thing called the Giving Machine. It's at a bunch of different cities. Let me should have had this list before me, but so I've been volunteering at one in Kansas City. So basically, it's like a vending machine. You walk up to it, and you get to pick which item you want to donate to a family in need. So this is a special thing that we're doing during the Christmas season. So we have one in is that in Hawaii? HI is Hawaii, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think HI.
So there's one in Hawaii, and there's one in Denver, Colorado. There's one in Gilbert, Arizona. There's one in Kansas City, Missouri, which I've been volunteering at. There's one in Las Vegas, Nevada. One in Nashville. There's one in New York, Oakland, California. There's one in Orem, Utah, and another one in Salt Lake City, Utah. And maybe I should post a link to this. I'll put it in the stream chat.
Yes, put it in the stream chat, and I already uploaded it to the chat as well on the the BTR chat.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a really neat opportunity. It's really cool because it's 100% of the proceeds from your donation go straight to the charities. All the transaction fees and the costs of the machine are all handled by the church. So it's a pretty cool thing to do.
So this is all like volunteering on behalf of the members of the church. That's how this is able to get off the ground.
Yeah. And some obviously, there's also some volunteers from the some local, the local charities that we're working with. They're also there. So, yeah, I donated so far. I've donated 2 laptops and a blanket to
nice
families in need. So
that's very nice of you, man. Cool. And it reminds me of the stream that we had yesterday with Lord Miles, who I've been talking with. He is going to be back with us soon. So he's a very nice gentleman, and he went, for those who don't know Lord Miles, he went to Afghanistan as part of a charity thing to help out, and he ended up being there when the Taliban took over. But from what he told us, the Taliban, they were pretty nice to him, at least the ones that he got to encounter there. They took selfies with him even. He was seen as kind of like a celebrity. And then he managed to get out of there, and now I'm not really sure what he's up to. But no, I do know what he's up to. I don't know what he's up to right now.
He's going to Sudan.
Sudan, that's right. He's going to be in Sudan. He's going to be in the place in between Sudan and Egypt, this unclaimed piece of land, and he's going to set up a community there. He's going to set up a new village, kind of like The Man Who Wants to Be King style, I guess. It's very exciting.
Real delicious throwback to the British Empire.
Yeah, the man who would be king. Sorry.
So, but anyways, Andrew, what is your spicy take on the Ghislaine trial?
No, I think she's very complicit. I haven't been following the trial too closely, unfortunately, but I definitely think she's incredibly complicit in what went on there. I mean, she was.
What do you think? Like, what is the difference? I think between the like male dark triad psychopath and like a particular form of female sexual cruelty. Like, what do you think motivates Ghislaine Maxwell? Like, why is it that psychopaths, kind of like Carla and Paul Bernardo, why do they sort of like find each other that way? Is there sort of like a magnetism there, or do you think that they have a similar mindset. Because what would it's kind of like that one Hungarian, the empress that was torturing and butchering and people by
Elizabeth
the hundreds.
Bathory. Elizabeth
Yes,
Bathory.
that's the one, yeah. Like this sort of female sexual sadism is rarer than the male, of course, but when it's turned on, it is usually horrific and prolific and widespread. And I wonder what motivates that.
Wow. I mean, is it a biological thing? I mean, I mean, definitely there's biological factors in play, but I'm a computer professional, so a little outside of my domain of expertise, but that's a good question as far as I don't know if I know the answer to it.
I have a separate question for you, Tux. As a computer professional, what would you say is the level of expertise and mastery of somebody like, hold on, man, this is so embarrassing because he made Temple OS. What is his name? What is wrong with me?
Terry
Davis.
Terry Davis, that's it.
Rest in peace, Terry Davis.
I was following that story quite extensively while it was happening, and it was unfolding on G. We were watching all the people that would visit him in his final days. But his expertise, I mean, he's brilliant. I mean, the guy, definitely has incredible technical chops. I mean, he was, he as he said, with some colorful language, he wrote a freaking compiler, right? Like he wrote his entire system, and he got it far enough along that it could like bootstrap itself. It could build itself from itself, which is a huge milestone when building like an OS or something like that. Like having your tool be able to eat its own dog food like that. That's pretty cool. And the just the kind of stuff he was doing with like optimizations for well, he did a lot of stuff. I don't know, I don't want to get too much into jargon, but like he had the shell for the operating system, kind of like a command prompt in Windows or DOS, or like the bash shell in Linux. Like his shell was like C programming language. It was nuts. So
I can't even imagine. All that I recall though is that that flight simulator that he was showing off with the Eagle and the Noah's Ark. You know who I'm talking about? That's, I mean, it looked very it looked very primitive. Obviously, it looked like early '90s graphics. Even worse. But maybe for doing it in that particular space, it was impressive. I don't know, like, what was it about being able to generate those three-dimensional shapes that were rotating around? Like, why was that something that was very unprecedented and impressive? If it was, maybe it wasn't.
Well, I don't know if unprecedented, probably not, but one of the things that is, I mean, it is very, 3D graphics is, especially if you're building in any kind of rendering engine from scratch, is incredibly math, intensive, and, you need to know a decent amount of, like, theory, and, there's a decent amount about, like, math that, to be able to draw 3D, there's a lot, there's a lot that goes into it. Just being able to manipulate things in a 3D space like that, requires some pretty heavy math.
Kick said it looked like RuneScape. Kind of did.
Yeah. Well, he was using. I think he was just. He was using software rendering on the CPU. So the amount of things that a CPU, just the way that CPUs work, they're not as good at doing those types of like drawing and shading operations. So yeah, the rendering, and the lighting was pretty primitive, right? So
interesting.
Yeah.
And I also noticed that there was, let's say I can't find it right now. I was here just a moment ago.
There are people that still run Temple OS. Like there are actual people that do.
Yeah.
There are people that actively are working on and develop Temple OS. They have there's a few. There's one I think that's called like Heretic or something. It's like a fork of it. It's like a heretical fork of Temple OS that adds like networking and higher screen resolution. All this other stuff.
You know what's funny?
Oh no, that's
there was somebody. There was somebody here. There was somebody here inside of the Twitter. I just saw their avatar, who was a woman who was atheist and in her bio was atheist and feminist. And I think she left right when we started talking about Temple OS.
Oh, See, there you go. That's the ultimate room clear when it comes to. Oh, we have Conan S too. Nice. Yeah, but it's funny.
Yes.
As soon as you start talking about Terry Davis, the atheist, the fedora tip is the fedora tip out of here.
Well, what's funny is like with my computer friends. For my computer friends, even the atheist ones, the thing that currently obviously is causing people to part ways is definitely the imported delicacy. And
Yeah, that's
There is okay, I see one of the people here, Yakumo Jack, a writer based in Yokohama, Japan. I have no idea who this person is. They may be completely fake, but it is interesting. I don't know. Maybe I should get this guy on if he wants to go on, if he is indeed living in Japan. We'll see. Maybe this is all a ruse, and this is me taking kind of a risk. Like I said before, I don't want to take risks here, but I looked at his profile, and he seems to... he wrote something, bare shelves for the first time in Yokohama, Stick 666 official, you may have saved me. So, okay, I trust him then. I know that he's not going to... So, sorry, Gio, that's my metric for trusting people. So,
God.
Yokohama Jack, I'm going to invite you to speak.
I hate to say
idea.
it. I hope the Japanese restrictions. I mean, this year's Wrestle Kingdom is going to be a disaster. I hate to say it. It's all over.
Sorry. Wait, it's all over.
Anyways,
You can't say it's all over. Isn't that considered? Isn't it's all over considered to be a problematic thing to say now?
It's a hate phrase. It's like saying the 14 words now. Is saying it's all
exactly.
Over. So,
exactly.
Also, I'm going to inform you the only other space I'm seeing is by a few mutuals of mine called the. So Annie Slats is there, but also hosted by Rad Femme Hitler, our favorite woman, the glorification of society. But it's funny. Like, please don't go over.
Why did you say that? Why did you mention it? God damn it, Gio. You gotta keep that shit to yourself.
I mean, no one's gonna listen to a bunch of women talk, really.
You gotta keep that shit to yourself. All right. I mean, look. I think Kristan is doing something. Here's the thing, Gio. I gotta eat. This is good because this
we have to have final word from people. There is a few people that want to speak.
Okay, final word. Let's go for the final. Yes.
Then Zero Kev, you didn't get to speak. So, yeah, Castizo's Zero Kev. Do you have anything to say about the trial?
Yeah. I haven't really been following it, but I think, of course, the Maxwell, I guess, defense team is going to use the I'm just a woman. I was just. They're basically going to use the whole I was following orders argument, but like for women. But I think the question we got to ask is, who's going to kill themselves first, Ghislaine Maxwell or Julian Assange? And I, of course, think it's Julian Assange because this Ghislaine...
The Carlo Mocha defense.
Oh, wait, quick aside, I just wanted to say, we got a new patron. I don't want to say their name because it may be doxing them, but they're a $7 patron on patreon.com/breaktherules, so I want to thank you so much. And also, Croin Kicks just donated $5 super chat after our Sneed. Thank you so much, Croin Kicks. I really appreciate it, brother. But anyway, sorry, Zero Cap, go for it.
I think... I don't think Lightning's gonna strike twice with this whole Epstein killing himself thing, because they already got Epstein, and if they kill her, it's gonna just look extra sus. So I think this is just one of these limited hangouts where they reveal some sort of truth by letting her be prosecuted, but the whole picture is sort of never gonna be revealed because Epstein killed himself. But he didn't though. But he did.
Interesting. Well,
yeah, you're right. It would look too suspicious. That's so who else wants Castizo, you locked right as there's chat. Probably not only see based accounts listening to this chat. Who are listening, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you to Mason. Mason is
we had to bitch Stick, Sex, and Hammer talk because Just Mike.
Well, Cernovich he's not feeling well right now, but he's very excited about coming on, and he's going to be coming on
23rd. We're gonna have it. My
23rd,
birthday,
yeah.
the 23rd of December. And also go to my pin tweet. I have a bunch of content things. I was recently on the Drug Cult Gang podcast. We talked about the post-left and psychedelics and glow in the darks in Silicon Valley. That's really funny. So Castizo, are you there, my friend?
Yes, I am. Thank you guys for having me on.
No problem,
I guess
brother.
My 2 cents on the trial is, the big sticking point for me more than anything is just the complete and total media blackout on it versus, the Rittenhouse, which I know everybody here knows that. But, with that in mind, I mean, it really is up to us to amplify any gold nuggets of truth that come from this, because nobody else is going to do it. So I guess that's my 2 cents on that. And I actually requested to speak when you mentioned the RadFem thing, because I actually just hopped on over here from that. And the second they said we're not going to have any men speak, I dipped, because who wants to listen to a bunch of shrill women for ramble on 40 minutes straight while they can't get
I gotta say,
come on.
I gotta say though, RadFem has always been nice to me, and Annie Slats is a good friend of mine. But I don't know, RadFem, she just knows how to get under people's skin. So after this, I might hop on and see what they're saying. But thank you for coming over. We also have a new speaker who is a follower of mine, Bronze Age Centurion. Actually, did you talk before? I think you talked in another BTR After Dark. I forget.
I was the guy responsible for the Vulture of Liberty speech people are talking about nowadays.
He's a massively based individual. But thanks for having me. I'm going to have to listen to that.
Nice.
Well.
Oh, no problem, my friend.
What I have to say, though, is in regard to the Maxwell trial and Epstein. Has anyone here considered the fact that, in all likelihood, by the apparati of state and the way they operate, the entire element of turning Epstein didn't kill himself into a meme and the visceral reaction on our side due to seeing it turn into a meme was by design? Because this is how intelligence
I mentioned that in the beginning, yeah.
This is how they operate, 100% of the way. Disinfo campaigns are phenomenally, strangely useful. And, as much of a spurg and a weirdo as William S. Lind was, he was very right with his work on the fourth generation warfare concept. We're in it right now. It's a monolithic thing, and it's a right pain in the ass.
Who is William S. Lind for the uninitiated? Who is William S. Lind for the uninitiated?
William S. Lind was a strategic advisor who was halfway full of shit, unless he was reined in by some people who had actual military experience. Thank God he had handlers. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the book Fourth Generation Warfare or his involvement in the Fourth Turning as a concept.
Interesting. I'm familiar with the Fourth Turning, but I'm not quite sure what Fourth Generation Warfare is. Can you explain?
Oh, I want you to imagine a fine line between manipulating a population's internal dynamic and internal monologue, cyber warfare, as in the same bandwaves and things we're all doing on Twitter and dealing with and fighting and everything else, right? But then add in actual population dynamics and regional dynamic fluctuations for demographics, how demographics behave to these changing things. Introducing elements to said populations via media, via official or endorsed unofficial media. It's kind of complicated, but if it sounds retarded, but it works, that's exactly the same philosophy the federal government has towards all of us.
I believe. Wait. Okay, my only kind of I wouldn't say criticism. My only skepticism here is maybe at least the appearance of ineptitude. How there's all these Jen Psaki people running things, and sure you could say, well, behind them there's like the shadow and yada yada yada. And sure, maybe. I don't know. The difficult thing for me to imagine here is you see a school like Yale, and you see all of the woke things that are going on in a school like Yale or Harvard, and then you would think about something like if you remember that movie, The Good Shepherd, they had all those scenes with Skull and Bones. So you would think of an organization like Skull and Bones, where they would be doing some pretty hefty stuff in order to get
Are
initiated
you
into it.
aware? Are you aware
Yeah.
that some of the producers of the Skull and Bones Club were actual Yale graduates and members of the Skull and Bones Club?
Wait, producers of the Good Shepherd or a different movie? Because you
No,
mentioned
the movie itself, Skull and Bones.
I haven't seen that movie, so I don't know. I don't know what that movie depicts, but that's interesting.
Well, the reason being, most of the time, whenever there are movies involving these secret societies as a key topic, they're members of that secret society working on the production staff. And
Sure, yeah, like
that's what I said
Operation
about-
Mockingbird, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, that's when I say, disinfo campaigns, there's a reason for that. Now, what you have to distinguish, by the way, is the difference between malign incompetence and vicious stupidity. See, you can be maliciously stupid and incompetent, but you can also simultaneously have enough of a bureaucratic apparatus to pick up the slack for being a moron. And that's the issue with our enemies. They're very, very confident. They view themselves as gods bestriding the planet. We're all in their domain. That's how they see everything. That's how they see us. Cattle. Unfortunately, they've delegated all their real power to middle management and to their financial managers. And now they're paying the price for that. So you have a bunch of ultra, wealthy trillionaire oligarchs and secret society members that have, been playing this panoply in theater for decades, suddenly going, what the fuck have you been doing with my money? When they find out that their heir and inheritor is coming back from Harvard at training. So,
Oh, we gotta be careful. We're on YouTube. We're on YouTube still.
My apologies.
Yeah, no problem. See, what we. This
Well,
is
why do
why
you
we
think
gotta
they're
give
importing an East Asian managerial class to subvert the sort of like Silicon Valley in particular? They have they're starting to import this perfect managerial Brahmin class to do the middleman work. But like what you were saying, the fourth turning, I believe Lind was also working with Alvin Toffler, the Toffler couple, when they were writing. But it could have been different. But anyways, yeah.
Wait, who was
do
working
have
with the
a number
Tofflers?
of-
Wait, Gio, hold on. Who was working with the Tofflers?
He wrote the third wave and like the fourth.
Well, no, I know who he is. Alvin Toffler, but you said somebody was working with the Tofflers. So who was working with the Tofflers?
The Lind, the guy who helped write the fourth wave book with.
Oh, okay, the guy
with
that
Bronze Age
Bronze.
was mentioned in the
Yeah,
author,
gotcha. So it's interesting. I mean,
who
this
was going to.
This is hold on, Gio. This is something that we talked about in the previous episodes of BTR. The question, like, why I was bringing up Yale and specifically Skull and Bones, is I would imagine that those people would have had a sit down with their pappy, who next to the fireplace, told them that this is the responsibility that's going to be on your shoulders. You're going to have to be in all of these international relations. You're going to have to travel all around the world, meet all of these people. So I would imagine they would be given a certain amount of, leadership qualities, a certain amount of something that keeps the machine running. But at the same time, when we're seeing all these pronoun-related things affecting the Yale kids, who dye their hair and do all that same kind of stuff right now, as they've been doing for a while, it makes me think, how the hell are these folks capable of any responsibility at all? Why would the George H.W. Bush tier parents treat them with any kind of seriousness at all? Why would a generation that went to war, that was in, like, for example, George H.W. Bush, he was a World War II veteran, and people of that nature, say what you want about them, but they were still people who had a certain level of professionalism about the way they conducted things. So why would they treat these children, these absolute children, with any kind of respect, any kind of even giving the leadership? Like, why wouldn't this be an emergency? It's like, holy shit, we've got all these kids that they've been brainwashed with this stuff. They're going to be the leaders. They're going to do a horrible job. I don't know. I'm curious.
The
Bronze
problem
Age.
is that we have leaders now who are sort of excising their own power to foreign entities that have not grown up within a European descendant Western culture. and so you have this inherent carelessness and resentment that's built up from this new imported managerial class. I think it's going to be a total disaster. But anyways, we have...
Wait, hold on. Before we have, I wanted to get a reply to what I asked to Bronze Age.
Yeah.
So Bronze Age, I'm curious, like, when it comes to that scenario I illustrated for you, what would be your reply? If you can possibly get into the heads of the George H.W. Bushes or their friends who would have kids like that attended the Harvards and the Yales and all that today, what do you think?
I think by contrast,
but George Bush Jr., he was a notorious party animal, fuck-up cokehead. Sorry, go ahead, Bronze Age. Sorry.
Well, here's the thing that comes to mind. I think you're very, very right, albeit from a different angle. What you need to approach this as is these are legacy, dynasties, right?
Yeah.
Except now the issue is you have to look at what's going on with Soros Jr. and with young Rothschilds and everything. These are party boys and honestly kind of stupid and very self-destructive because they've been given, the mantle of their parents and given the responsibility of their parents, but they don't have anywhere near the intellect or the obscene, genuinely diabolical vision of their parents. They have the mantle, they have the what they think they remember are the objectives as given, right? But they have no idea how to do it. So this is where you get into the whole malign incompetence side of things. The bureaucracy that is built around them is going to try and pick up the slack, but the middle management is failing. The imported middle management is purely in for itself. And what we're going to be looking at is just a complete, have any of you guys seen that old school style Scandinavian log stove where it burns and then the stove lights on fire from the inside, stove in quotes? You're going to see that, but from bureaucratic apparatus. Pretty much.
I think we're already seeing it right now. It was to a certain extent. I mean, if we look at Jen Psaki, up there talking,
very brilliant.
And again, like for the people who would say like, "Oh, she's a woman, how dare you?" This fuck off with that. You know what I'm talking about. And I know that a lot of the people who are
but
here
I don't know,
in
Lev.
Twitter.
I don't know. Apparently, I hate women, according to Polyak. So I'm kidding.
No, that's a different story. Right. We're not talking.
No. I mean, really, you're both right. At the end of the day, what you're seeing is these competing, angles trying to achieve the same goal, but they're doing it poorly. So the fire is already lit. We're seeing it now. This is the Neo-Caligulan orgies while the empire burns phase. No, everything's fine. Stop asking questions. The grain will get to the plebeians. The dole will continue. This is, the little rumble effect.
Well, Bronze Age, this is something that I was mentioning before. I'll be honest. I am not aware of you. I don't know that much about you. But first, I just want to say that you are a great speaker. From the conversation that we were having so far, you're very interesting, and you have a good pacing about the way that you speak.
This has been fire.
Yes, but I do want to address one thing, because you do have Bronze Age in the beginning of your name there, and I did read Bap's book and all that. But the point that I was bringing up to Gio earlier is that as somebody like, I don't know how much, have you seen BTR before? Have you seen the episodes?
Unfortunately, no. I had no idea the show existed. I saw a bunch of my mutuals in here, and I use Astrakos and Conan and, Castizo as kind of a vetting process. If something's worth checking in. They think this is cool. All right, I'll check it out. The boys know what's up.
Hell yeah.
I will vouch for him. He's got my backing.
That's great. I appreciate that. And it's, by the way, if you want to check out the episodes, go to breaktherules.tv. That's the main link to go to for the YouTube. Please subscribe, all the new people who are watching. But the basic gist of BTR is
and we got Conan right now.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, hold on, just to
what's
up? Just to finish this
up.
Well,
yeah, hey, listen, I think I accidentally requested to speak the first time, and I didn't have anything to say. Which says a lot about Lev and Gio that they let me in anyway, which I really appreciate. And I just wanted to chime in and say with Astrakos that both of them are great guys, and you should all immediately go sub to breaktherules.tv right now, because they put out great content.
Amen,
it's a great show all the time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But
we have to have you on another when.
Hell yeah.
When we have another space, because it's simulcasted to our YouTube and our Odyssey.
Yeah.
And so
and D
whoever's
Live
speaking now,
and
you are going-
Twitch and
Oh,
everywhere.
and D Live and Twitch.
And D Live everywhere.
Um,
But by the way, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do the commercials here. But okay, here's the important thing for those who are not familiar with Break the Rules. Break the Rules is a way to get people who are in the various fringes of the Twitter space together with people who are more mainstream. So we've had guests on like Tony Hinchcliffe, like Dennis McKenna, Terrence McKenna's brother. We've had pretty big people on. But the other important... Hold on. I accidentally... There we go. But the other important thing to note here is I have a very... how do I say this? I have a very big problem with what I think is a lot of closed-mindedness on all sides, where people go into bubbles and they only associate and speak with people within those bubbles, and good points can be brought up, but at the same time, really bad ones. And as somebody who came from a very totalitarian regime of the USSR, I was actually born in the USSR, so in 1988. That's how old I am, by the way. I know I don't look it for all those who are watching the stream right now, but anyway, I want to avoid there being some kind of an authoritarian hellscape. And my concern here is that a lot of people who are on the reactionary right side, especially I think people who are younger, they see problems that exist today. My concern is that I don't think they've had enough experience to look at the broader picture and broader implications of what it would mean if they would have some kind of a strong man come in, their enemies get punished, and they think that they're going to be completely all right. And I am somebody who considers themselves to be a classic liberal, which I know has become very cringe and boomer-like today. But I am very skeptical of a lot of things that are being offered up as far as this is the solution right here. All these people, they don't know what they're talking about. And you know what I mean? Like, I want to be very critical of whenever people go into any kind of circle and just assume we know what the solution is, we know what the right way is. So I just wanted to bring that out one more time.
Astro, you want to take that one, buddy?
Yeah, I have a quick second to add. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
we can hear you.
Quick second to add to that, Lev. I like that you're saying that. You don't hear that a lot around here. And if I do get in arguments with people that agree with me on Twitter on the right, it's usually because I'm advocating some sort of liberal policy adjustment that is sort of in the tradition of liberalism, but also pragmatic and practical. And they jump down my throat and say I sound like a liberal. Not necessarily like a Democrat liberal, but like a classical liberal, like Lev just claimed he was. And I try in those. I honestly try to avoid those conversations at this point because they're not really very fruitful. Because a lot of people speak out of a point of emotional reaction, which I share with them because I'm also very upset about the way things are going. But you have to understand that. Things have been on a downward spiral and a trajectory that we have to work with from one of two possible scenarios. The two possible scenarios are the strong man that Lev's talking about coming in, and the other one is to kind of work with the system the way it is and try to tinker with it in such a way that it benefits us. And when I say us, I'm just going to put that in quotation marks and hope it's inferred what I mean by that. So while I like the idea of a strongman at times who can come in and clear away a lot of the detritus, that bureaucratic detritus that causes things not to get done, it's not very practical to kind of say, well, I'm going to sit and twiddle my thumbs until Caesar shows up and clears away all the dross and all the refuse and puts in a golden age where our people get to enjoy themselves. Hang on.
No problem. I would also say, while I'm hanging on here, that even that idea of putting in the right Caesar, the right person, I don't know, number one, let's say that does happen. would their descendant, would their son or whatever be able to continue that, or would eventually the whole thing start to stagnate real fast? And I'm not talking like you have 1,000 years and then all of a sudden it gets better. I'm talking you have, and I don't know how much of that you were able to hear because he said hold on, so you may have been away.
Well, hey, I'm back. I had to.
Hey.
I'm sorry.
No problem at all.
I have extenuating circumstances that make this difficult. Let me just finish that thought.
Sure. Go for it. Go for it.
So it is unbelievably impractical to take that tack, to take a serious stand for what you supposedly believe in and not compromise on that. Because my argument, whenever I get into these debates with people, my argument is always, sure, while you're standing there not compromising on your principles, they are literally pilfering your back pocket. They're pilfering your retirement. They're pilfering your health insurance. They're pilfering your children's inheritance. They're pilfering your tax dollars. Everything. It's all being flushed down the toilet. So there has to be some sort of ability to garner the some sort of benefit for your people while things play themselves out. Okay. Best example I could come up with for this is universal health care. I'm not going to start an argument about that right now, but I do want to say that the discussion has been completely muddied and polluted by not just the GOP, but even the far right and the far left, because the far left means something quite different than I do when they advocate for that. And I don't really support Bernie Sanders. However, he's coming at an issue that I care about and I know a lot about from a totally different perspective than mine. I think there might be some common ground there, as opposed to, say, pro-immigration GOP, with whom I have absolutely no common ground. So that's one thing. The other thing I want to say is...
well, people repost, they post images of the cycle to address universal health care in America.
Right. No, but that's one of the most common rebuttals I get, and I tell them that cycle exists because of the healthcare system we have now. That is not a cycle.
Wait, which cycle are we talking about?
At risk of implementing if we implement universal health.
Wait, what's the cycle? What's the cycle?
Well,
for those who don't know.
We
can't say it on YouTube, Lev. We can't say it on YouTube.
Okay.
It involves lots of gamer words.
Okay.
Let's call.
All right. Well, the only thing. Okay. Well, look. Hold on. The only thing that I would say. Hold on. The only thing that I would say about that whole thing, just to kind of for those who don't know me, and when there are people, you could say, oh, they're of a different caste or whatever. Who gives a shit? I don't care. You have people who would come in from, let's say, Nigeria, and they would, as long as they would have good values and as long as they would, be the kind of people that you would want your kid to play with as far as the kind of value that they imbue their kids with, then I have no problem there whatsoever. I think that would be a great thing. And I also think that people who come who actually share in the same level, I wouldn't say culture, like you could say, oh, they may have different food, but as long as they would have the same civilizational level, as long as they know what it means to live in, the kind of civilization.
Let me throw something out there, and
Sure.
I'm loath to interrupt you, Lev. I have to do it though because I have to go.
Go for it.
But
Go for
so
it.
I just want to throw it out there that I don't necessarily agree with what you just said. However, the other problem I have with universal health care and the whole Bernie Sanders thing, what I meant was when I say I don't come at it from the same direction as him, is I want nationalized health care. He wants socialized medicine. And what you're talking about is socialized medicine. Nationalized medicine is something quite different that I can't get into right now. Last thing I have to say before I go silent for another few minutes is that another argument, another thing that I butt heads with people over is when GOP types, Republican conservative types, who are these socialist Republicans, these socialist conservatives that just showed up out of left field. I have no idea who these people are. The reason why I get in arguments with them, and I got in a literal screaming match with one of them on Joel Davis's space the other day, and I had to apologize to him for it, is because these people advocate for this like it's a panacea. It's absolutely not a panacea. The only thing it's going to do is put the patient on life support while we have time to rally ourselves to come back and hopefully get a second wind. That is, so I don't like it. I don't like getting in these arguments with other right-wingers because they think I'm saying that. They think I'm saying what these socialist conservatives are saying, that this is a panacea. It's absolutely not what I'm saying. I do not stand with those people. I butt heads with those people. However, what we can't hope for tomorrow. We can't hope for much. Maybe long term we can have some pretty big dreams, but tomorrow I want to get the maximum possible benefit as quickly as possible within the means of the system until the next step comes. And I have to put it on pause. Thank you guys so much. I'll be back.
Thank you for being here.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I don't know how long we're going to. Wait, hold on, Gio. 1 second.
Well, we have to
1
go
second.
So maybe Chelsea.
Yeah. Okay, wait. Hold on. I just want to say real quick that to what I was saying with the Nigerians specifically, I know it sounded kind of out of left field, but the reason why I mentioned that is if we're talking about healthcare, whether socialized, nationalized, I don't know. Like, I don't really know the difference right now between those. But when it comes to that kind of healthcare, as long as the people who are within the system are those who would be of, let's say, again, civilizationally, nothing having to do with where they're from or what color their skin is or whatever, but civilizationally, if they are people who know how to respect the kind of system that they're in, where there wouldn't be advantage taken of, they would also be people who would, let's say, and this is a big problem I think with a lot of Americans, there's not enough emphasis on like, look around you, Gio. I mean, there's so many people out there who are overweight, and in the South, there are a lot of Americans who are incredibly overweight right now, and you could say that's an education thing.
Say, look at you, Gio. There's
I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. No, but Gio, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like,
we have time
like that. This is okay. But all that I'm saying,
I know.
real quick, all that I'm saying is that as long as people can meet that particular standard, and there's a lot of Americans that don't meet that standard right now, which should be changed as well, and I really hope that will be changed, then that kind of healthcare system could definitely work, I think. But anyway, go for it.
Well, Lev, you know as an immigrant how that sounds. But anyways, I know, but like it's a...
Hey, before we
like these...
pass the speaker's torch to Chelsea, do you mind if I drop something about the Caesar comment very quickly?
Go for it.
Yeah, yes, please, go
This
for
is
it.
something I've talked about with Enoch Powell on here. I like to think he's a friend of mine, very reasonable guy. But what we've discussed is the premise that a lot of younger guys on this side of things, on my side, or Laws, or whoever's, we tend to focus more on the Caesar idea for some reason. But here's the issue. You need to learn how to ride the chariot before you ride it. And
Amen.
There's no point in mounting up and, annihilating the Dravidians like they did in the Indus Valley if you can't even ride the freaking horse. So... you can wait for Caesar while thinking like a Caesar. You can do Caesar-like things within your own manner buns, so to speak, within the premise. That was what I wanted to say. Anyway.
Well, no,
Amazing.
I do have to reply
Thank
real
you, my
quick
friend.
though to that amazing point. I have to reply with something that I said when Askritos was away. Which is, if there's going to be a Caesar, and let's say that Caesar's going to do exactly the right job in the beginning, then we're going to have a problem later on with the incompetency of those who come after him. It's always a game of Russian roulette, even from the Caesar that ends up being there. That's number one. Number two, I don't even know if this conversation has much bearing, because my concern is that the models that are being imagined for any Caesar are the models of, let's say, like 500 years ago, or even like early 20th century, and we are living in a slightly different time when it comes to the internet, when it comes to technology. All that I want to say is I want those things to also be kept in mind when we're talking about the potential for power and the potential for destruction on, a really large basis when a kind of Caesar is given that kind of power. So to me, at best, it just seems like a game of Russian roulette when you're talking about this, not to mention that there is an often found quality among people in the 20th century who were the Caesar of their time to surround themselves with a bunch of people who kiss their ass all the time, not really the people who would, be good, let's say, spiritual priestly guides on how to act. So that is another problem that I think has to be contended with. And, those are the only points that I wanted to make in response to that.
Chelsea, go! Floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the space. And I want to hear, I would really like to hear Strikos elaborate a little bit more about his idea for the national versus socialist healthcare plan. But I wanted to say something from my experience that maybe it comes across as mean, but it's what I believe is true. Because my family's been here since the 17th century, and we had ancestors that were on the Supreme Court, that were governors. We've been here for a long time, and I can say that my ancestors built this country. And I'm also friends with a lot of people that, that immigrated here to escape communism. And, I have to say, I don't think that's a particular, bona fide, because I've heard a lot of stories about, when communism was coming, we tried to cooperate, and we gave them our farm, or then we moved to the country from the city, and we tried to just, go along peacefully. Well, you can't do that. You can't just be nice to people, because the inevitable result is that things get destroyed and then you're immigrating somewhere else. And there's really no place else to go. Maybe, maybe not. But I think that America is kind of a last stand. So I would say to the response of we should be a little bit nicer, we should be a little bit less aggressive, we should be afraid of the idea of a strong leader that can get us out of this. There's a lot of power in the unwashed masses that are asking us to submit to them and be nice to them. More power than I think would even be in a Caesar or a person like that. So, I think that if you're afraid of something evil and something scary and something powerful, I would say.
Whoa. Hold on. Let's do this again. I don't know what happened to the chat over here. Let us go back there. Good, it's still live. Hold on, everybody. Please subscribe. Let me just switch this back in here. Yeah, this happens sometimes, but it's okay.
Maybe we have time for one more.
Wait. Hold on.
Riley, you were waiting.
Wait. Hold on, Gio. I want to hear from Riley too, but I was. I was cut off here. Just a second, Riley. I definitely want to hear from you, but I was cut off here for a second, so I didn't hear Chelsea finish her point before about the strongman. But from what I did hear, I do agree that there is a lot of power in the unwashed masses, causing a lot of, if you look at the things that happened with Russia, for example, with the rise of communism there, it resulted in something very horrible. And when you say being nice to people, I don't think that people should be nice to people who want to destroy them, who want to destroy their family, and I think that goes both ways. So for the people who would want to eliminate me or my family, I'm not going to be nice to them. I'm going to be nice to people who, let's say, would welcome me but expect me to live up to a certain standard that they live by, and I would live up to that standard as I have been living up to that standard, as has my family. Now, as far as the nitty-gritty of how you make sure that that is what it is before, let's say, people would come into a country like the United States, that's a big question, and that is something that has to be figured out. I wouldn't say that that is necessarily impossible, but you are right that people, let's say, who are on the further left, who are like, oh, immigrants welcome, and yada, 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 that's not the right way of going about it either. There has to be a balance there. All that I'm saying is we've seen what the power of the collective and the strong man, whatever you want to call it, can create in the 20th century, and I don't think it was anything good. So that's what I mean about trying to keep the balance and figure out how do you steer that ship. So that's the only thing that I wanted to say there in response to the portion that I was able to hear. But Riley, go for it. You've got the floor.
Oh boy, I'm kind of nervous, so excuse me if I stutter. Let's see. So you guys are all talking about fucking all these, big ideas, all these abstract concepts and shit. Let me tell you a little about me. I don't have an ideology. I'm not really, I played around with ideology a lot when I was a teenager, but now I'm 23 years old. I'm living on my own. I'm paying fucking rent. I'm doing a really shitty job. I'm actually at work right now. I'm not supposed to be talking, but fuck it. Anyways, so you're talking about how, we shouldn't leave these liberal ideas for a Caesar. We should, because of what happened in Russia or what happened in Germany or whatever the fuck. by the way, this Astrocos guy was fucking killing it. So, oh man. Okay. Sorry. I thought.
No, take your time.
Okay. Sorry, I thought my boss was coming in. So anyways, so I'm gonna make it brief. Fucking, what's actually done for me lately, man? I'm fucking poor. I'm struggling to pay rent. I got split rent with my girlfriend, which sucks. By the way, my girlfriend's Julia. Yeah. Oh fuck, I'm freaking out. I shouldn't be doing
No,
this.
no, don't freak out. There's nothing. No, we're live streaming this on YouTube, DLive.
Yeah,
let's say Odyssey. No, I'm just fucking around with you. No, everything is fine. Look, say what's on your mind, because I am curious about.
Okay, so pretty much
what. Be recorded forever, and whatever you say.
Gina, don't add more
it's all
fire
good.
to the. Yeah.
I'm mainly nervous about my boss walking in, mate. I'm mainly worried about my boss walking in and seeing me do this shit, because I gotta be cleaning up dog shit later.
Opening up. Are you winning, son?
So anyways, one thing is fucking.
No, I was just saying, like, the "Are you winning, son?" Your boss coming in and. Anyway, go on. No, don't worry about it.
Oh man, I wish you would say that, but yeah, I barely speak English. Anyway, so yeah, I'm a plebe. You know, fucking, I'm struggling right now. So what's actually gonna do for me in the future, okay, man? Because right now it's not doing shit for me. So that's why I'm kind of like hoping for a Caesar to come around. If a Caesar came around and promised me shit, like free healthcare, like fucking, I don't know, $1,000 a month, whatever. I don't give a shit. Anything to help me out. I'm gonna take, no matter if it comes from Caesar, fucking Stalin,
yeah, but then
fucking
he could send
Mussolini, I don't give a shit, man.
Then he could send your secret police, his secret police out there and arrest you and your family and shit like that.
Listen, man, I'm not a political actor, man. I'm not gonna be arrested by the secret police. I'm just gonna be, I'm just a troll, bro.
I don't know. There were plenty of trolls during Stalin's time.
Yeah, he
that
just
got
wants to
sent
secure
to
the bag, Lev. Come on.
Yeah, man, I'm just securing the bag. I'll be Stalin, I'll be Mussolini as long as that fucking pay keeps coming.
Yeah, well, Mussolini is better. Mussolini is better than Stalin and Hitler, which is why I wish some people would just stick to Mussolini. And that's I'm not gonna say anymore.
More of a Franco guy myself, by the way.
That's cringe, but
that's not a good option.
Well, Franco, as far as they go, he wasn't the worst out of all the, like.
Okay, I don't care who's better or worse. The point is, I want a leader that will be fucking give me shit. I want a populist. I'm just a fool. I'm a fucking plebeian. So
I know.
I don't know. You gotta think more material. You guys talk a lot about like spirit stuff, which is cool. You know, that's a conversation that needs to be had. Yeah. But I very rarely hear conversations about material necessity. You know.
Well, we're just trying to figure out how to avoid the worst out of the worst outcomes. At least that's what
if you want to avoid the worst out of the worst, give people like me a reason to fucking I don't know, fight for your side.
That's a good point.
I'll say this. Fucking who was that fucking he was fucking senator from Georgia, the racist guy, Wallace something. Anyways, even though he supported segregation, during like a later election, he got 80% of the black vote. Why? Because he was kind of a populist. And after he denounced his segregation, he said, "Yeah, I don't really fuck with that shit anymore." Which is probably more out of opportunism. But because he was promising, "Hey, I'm gonna support expanding Medicaid or whatever the fuck," he got 80% of the black vote, even though he was fucking a little racist in the past. Because at the end of the day, fucking money talks, bro. Yeah, it's
there's no doubt. Yeah. There is no doubt that you are very right about money talking, and I do wish that there would be some kind of a way for a lot of the problems that you're bringing up to be solved by people. But you may be right, and a lot of the people speaking here may be right, that we do have a huge amount of incompetence among anybody who steps up. So as far as they're having a balance between somebody who would be, let's say, inspirational and entrepreneurial enough to get certain things moving around in the right way for the United States, I don't know, because that would be good, but I really do think that the best thing would be having a localized, local, per, the specific community that people happen to be in, having that kind of a pillar community style elite that would be able to take care and have a have a certain stake in the community that they're in, instead of it being just like international people with no stake at all in whatever happens in the local community. That, I think, would be a good model to look towards.
I kind of like that, but at the same time, a lot of these problems can't be solved on the local level. Like the fucking, like, I don't know, look how fucking big, like, the fucking, like, health insurance, like, thing is. Fucking all these, you know, corporations owning, I think it's like, I don't know, my mind's kind of blanking right now. I need to get going soon, but, what was my point I was going to get at? Fucking, yeah, some of these issues just won't be solved on a local level, I don't think. It's because we're living in a unfortunately, we are living in a very globalized society right now. We live in a society, and fucking, I don't know if fucking, you know, Mayor Joe from fucking Springfield
or
fucking
Mayor
can solve
Pete.
can really do a lot to alleviate your problems. I do, which is not to be too black and white local politics. I think something can be done. I think anything should be done, but I don't know. I think it's going to take something big.
Well, I agree that it may take something big, but the only question here is how do we make sure that when that big, let's say, whatever big acts happen, that it's not going to be something that completely dismantles the system to that much of an extent that it leaves room for...
But what's the system doing for me? Like, that's the thing. I don't care about the system because it's not doing anything for me.
I mean, money talks, but not everybody has to listen. There's always going to be groups of people, like the groups of people that Riley referred to and he included himself in, that just will follow anybody that's willing to promise them, you know, money and a basic, you know, subsistence.
Sure.
So, you know, that's really not, I don't think, what most of us are looking for.
It's just going to be very tough with...
That is true.
Maduro,
most people actually will go...
Well, look at Maduro, for example. Maduro, one of the first things that he did was he nationalized a lot of those companies that were there. He was just giving away all the free stuff from all the luxury stores to the people. So that really quickly got a lot of people on his side. And it is a very tricky thing when you say, like, what has the system done for me? I would say that the system is something that, despite all the horrible things that are going on, it gives a certain framework in which, for example, we had, and I know people like to point at it and say, oh, this is just, you know, this is such a rare thing, like the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict, for example. That was something that was accomplished within the system. It wasn't like some strong man went in and said, Kyle is innocent, you can't do anything about it anymore, that's it. No, there was a certain structure, there's a certain way these things are done, and it was done, same thing with the Jussie Smollett thing recently. He, I believe, got 5 different guilty verdicts there. So that is working within the system. That's working within the things that I think a lot of people take for granted because we're used to it. We're used to the negative things, and we complain about the negative things, but we've never lived without these particular things being in place that are in place. We imagine that, you know, how could it possibly get any worse? And maybe that's what people were imagining before the Russian Revolution or before any other authoritarian, totalitarian regime ended up taking power, and then, you know, history shows us what happened. That's why I'm saying, like, look before you leap when it comes to a lot of the decisions that people within these spaces are making too. Not that I'm saying that these spaces are going to necessarily, you know, be the... Although, who knows? That's the other thing. Like the butterfly flapping its wings, I do think that there is power in conversation, that there is power in spreading different kinds of ideas. So I hope that in that sense I am acting as a bit of a deterrent for people to just go with whatever it is the group is saying.
But what do people like Riley offer in exchange for their gibs from the government? Like, they're going to vote for somebody, and what if that doesn't work out?
Fuck, I'll fight for you.
Right. I mean, I just don't really see an army of mercenaries beating an army of people that are fighting for something that actually has a principle behind it.
That's true. Experience. Well, that's like The Godfather Part 2 that I was mentioning in an earlier stream, where Michael Corleone noticed that the rebels who were fighting against the Batista government, they were willing to die. They were willing to sacrifice everything for this particular cause. I mean, that's another example of how that particular
and the backers of
country
Batista
turned
weren't
out.
willing to fight. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I definitely see your point there.
But that's the thing. Like, should have, like, I don't know, an army of glistening holders to take over. I mean, mean, anything with
Glistening elders?
is going to be.
Wait, did you say glistening elders? Wait, did you say glistening elders?
Glistening bodybuilding.
Oh, okay.
No, I said glistening.
Yeah, glistening elders. That would be like an elderly bodybuilder competition.
Well, we should wrap it up. Actually, I have to.
It's like imagine the competition of old muscular dudes,
but,
and Gio was there in the audience
taking
pictures. Trying to find the next Mussolini. Like trying to find some glistening elderly bodybuilder.
Well, Mussolini was pretty jacked. I mean,
he was. He had some kind of an abscess on his head, right? That would be a great video, by the way.
I don't know. I think so.
You know how on YouTube, by the way, there's this. There are these videos where people like, what do you call it? Popping the abscesses, popping the what do you call it?
People love
those
videos. They're addicting.
Yeah. So imagine that with Mussolini, because he had some kind of an abscess on his head. So just we're done here. Listen, thank you so much for watching. Once again, subscribe to Break the Rules, breaktherules.tv. One last thing I want to put in is the Odyssey link, because listen to all the people.
What are we gonna have next week?
I will tell you what we're gonna have next week. Next week we are going to have we're going to have Tishrei coming in. I don't know how many of you folks are familiar with Tishrei, a.k.a. Rubes, at Tishray on Twitter. She is coming in. I look forward to speaking with her. And we are also going to have Styx and Jonathan Peugeot on Thursday the 16th. Woo! That's going to be an exciting
It's
one.
It's going to be paganism versus Christianity.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
Hell yeah. And okay, so one last thing before we go is I do have to put in the Odyssey link, because Odyssey is a very, I think it's a very, and I wish that they weren't fighting with Rumble, by the way, because I don't think it's healthy to have this back and forth mudslinging against people who I think are both within the camp of, hey, let's get these, creators to not be censored and have a voice. So that is why we're on Odyssey, and I want to go on Rumble as well. Like, I don't care about the number, inflation, or anything that people are talking about, right? Like, it is important to branch out and to also have kind of a confederacy, like Styx is talking about, a confederacy of creators that would be able to help each other even if they don't agree on all the points that they bring up. I think it is important just to have that kind of confederacy of creators to make sure that people don't get censored. Because the more people get censored, the less you're going to have somebody like me being able to speak with somebody like you, and that is not a good thing, because people go into the stripy hole, and it's very hard for them to come out. But anyway, let me post the Odyssey link right here. Also, patreon.com/breaktherules. For a change, Gio, you tell the good people what they can expect to get if they become a Break the Rules patron.
All right, $5. You get access to our super secret Discord spaces where you can post, and you will also be featured in exclusive BTR podcasts on our Patreon. For $20, you will get a magnet, one of Lev's magnets that his father makes, Alexander Polyakov.
Here's an example of the magnet, by the way. Yeah, but this is not Brittany Venti. This is the Styx magnet over here. This is not done. This is a work in progress. But just so you see
he's
what
showing
the
it
magnet,
on YouTube because this is
what the magnet looks like. Yeah.
So you get it for $20. You could get one of it changes every year, and you will get it repeatedly each year, or I think a few times a year, depending on what his father does. For $30, you will get one of 5 prints, or 2 if it's a small one, from my That Feel When No GF series of woodblock prints. You will get it for $30 on Patreon. A small one I will send you 2. For $50, Mega Appreciative, you will get all of the above. You will also get another painting by me, which is in the Bob Ross style. You will get a custom magnet that his father will do, within reason. I mean, if you wanted something like, I don't know, a dick magnet, I mean, he can negotiate it. You also
or
get
maybe a Dick Masterson magnet.
Streams. Yeah, within reason. You will get a poster print of one of her streams. You will also get a Warhammer 40K custom painted figure by Jules P. Hamilton. And I mentioned my painting, so you will get a whole bundle of things for $50. You will also get access to any of our, you will be an automatic speaker on our spaces and also on the BTR exclusive streams on Patreon. So thank you very much. God bless.
And I added,
goodbye.
Well, no, not goodbye yet. Not goodbye yet. I just want to say that I added the links. All the people who are watching this right now, and I want to thank everybody here who is in the Twitter space, but all the people who are watching this right now, look in the links above. You're going to see here, even though the other ones are nice, I'm going to get rid of some of these. So, hold on. That's not the one that I wanted to show up here. Hold on. Okay, remove that. And, hold on. This is... Okay, here we go. So, I'm going to remove that tweet. Okay, whatever. The point is that you see on the screen over here, it says, don't forget to subscribe to our Odyssey. Go there, subscribe to our Odyssey. And lastly, subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/breaktherules. I know that that's what Gio was talking about this whole time. I am just trying to get this thing to work properly, just to have the link. Because I know some of you don't like typing things out. You just like clicking on things. And for all those who like clicking on things, I am providing the Patreon link right here, right now. Although it's very easy, patreon.com/breaktherules. Why can't you just memorize that and write that down, type that down? But either way, this is how
Love,
nice
don't
a person I am.
patronize our good patrons.
This is how nice of a
Patronize
person.
are good listeners.
Here we go. Hold on.
Don't be an asshole. There are people.
I'll be
Anyways,
as much of an asshole as I want because I know
YouTube
it's all in love.
So if you want to hear yourself,
Yes.
This has been a great stream. I love it.
Oh God, I can hear my own voice on YouTube. That's horrifying.
All right,
And
guys,
with
take care.
Odyssey, it's on
Yeah.
a chain. It's on a blockchain, so it'll be there forever.
Yeah, remember, you're here forever. All right, this is the end. Thank you so much for watching.